Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching a movie on what if Naruto became Juubi's Heir. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The boy's name will be Naruto, and the girl's name will be Reina, Namikaze Minato told the Jonin who was holding his new twins. Naruto had yellow hair and blue eyes, whereas Reina had the Uzumaki's signature deep red straight hair and emerald green eyes. Both were looking around with interest, noticing everything despite the fact that they were only a few minutes old. It actually bothered Minato. He heard Kushina's scream in a roar he'd heard anywhere as he took them from the Jonin who had flashed away and placed them on the cradle he'd made for this. "Oh shit!" he exclaimed as he turned to see the nine-tailed fox congregate in midair above Kushina's broken seal. She'd passed out due to the agony of the forced release. Looking down at her, the kyuubi cackled, and they heard a demonic voice say in their heads, "I'll leave you alive to see the destruction of your home." Minato became aware of a presence behind him as it jumped away. He had to whip his head back as he turned to avoid a long kunai thrown by a masked man wielding a sharingan. Hummed the figure, "Well, you're a lot less noble than I thought. You dodged at the expense of your child." Minato paled as he spun around to see the kunai piercing Naruto's chest, just below his heart. The youngster in question had collapsed from pain. Minato yelled, "Naruto!" and dashed to his side. He could see that the kunai wasn't a lethal blow, but there was an odd aura surrounding the blade that seemed to be stopping the bleeding. He grabbed his children and Kushina before teleporting to the hospital with flying Rajan. The nine-tailed fox could be seen in the distance approaching Konoha as he handed them over. He turned, resolute, with a heavy heart. "I'm so sorry, Reina," he said to his daughter, "but I have to do this for Konoha." He picked her up and teleported away, appearing in a clearing about 800 feet away from the nine-tailed fox. Setting Reina down, he made a shadow clone, then activated a sealing scroll, something that stored a seal until the maker wanted to use it. Sealing Jutsu. Seal 8 trigrams. His hands were engulfed in a red aura. His clone teleported onto Nine Tails itself, touching it with the other hand after placing one on Reina's chest. The Great Demon, the Great Kyuubi no Kitsune, was drawn into the chest of a newborn girl with a rage-filled roar. Minato, exhausted from sealing the Kyuubi's chakra, flashed both of them back to the hospital, where his wife and son were being treated. Kushina noticed the seal on her chest as he appeared, Reina in his arm. "Minato. Did you seal it?" she asked quietly, her tone hinting at pain. "I had no choice," Minato grumbled. "All of the shinobi in Konoha working together couldn't beat the Kyuubi. It was this or the destruction of the village, at least this way Reina can be seen as a hero." Tsunade, who hadn't yet left the village, cut them off with a quick tap on Minato's shoulder. "Minato. You should know something about your son. What happened?" both Minato and Kushina asked quickly. "The kunai was poisoned, not with a deadly poison, but one that corroded the chakra network. It pierced the 8th gate, destroying his chakra network. Your son will never be able to use chakra, barring a miracle," the legendary medic lamented. "In fact, I recommend not claiming him, even pushing him away if necessary. Because he has no way of protecting himself. If word gets out that he's your son, one of your many enemies would no doubt attempt to capture him and use him against you. I know it might hurt him and you, but it's for his own good," Tsunade said quietly. "Besides, you'll need to teach Reina how to control the Kyuubi's chakra." "I can see the seal," she snorted in response to Minato's surprised breath. Kushina didn't hear any of it because she was preoccupied with one thought. "I know it might hurt him and you, but it's for his own good. Minato. We have to do it that way. I can get him listed as an orphan, but you have to make sure he's kept away from anyone who might tell him, even if they have to be physical," she cried furiously. Minato nodded sadly, very well, and his mind began to make plans to keep his son alive, even if it meant keeping him away from them. At the time, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki were destroying the child known only as Naruto, unaware that he was unusual. His mind was incredibly developed, and he remembered who his parents were, not that he could understand them. That was the beginning of the end. Naruto dashed into an alley to get away from the people who were following him. Despite being disowned by the Namikaze Uzumaki family, he was still known as a person born on the night of the Kyuubi attack, leading many to believe he was the demon himself. The whisker marks, which were actually scars from a jonin when he was 2, were even more proof of his demonic ancestry. The horde of people chasing him, on the other hand, was unconcerned. Punching bag. Attack. They yelled. Without any formal training, Naruto could read, write, speak, manipulate his chakra, and even use some jutsu at the age of 6, though he never did any of this when any of the Anbu assigned to watch him were present. He was aware that his chakra network had allegedly been destroyed, but he was still able to use jutsu. In fact, when he used a jutsu, he never had any drain. The only thing he could think of was that Tsunade had made a mistake or something. He'd been wanting to leave the village for a long time. Using earth jutsu and his seemingly limitless chakra reserves, he had created an underground pathway from his apartment basement to a location approximately 50 miles from the village. He could also use earth jutsu to pull himself along while sitting, reading, or whatever. Today was the day he finally got out of this hellhole. He was aware of his ancestors, as well as his parents and sister. From the moment he was born until now, he had perfect memory. He was aware that he was the child of a woman with red hair and a man with yellow hair. His sister was a mini Kushina who seemed to despise him. Their parents had not explained why, but had instructed her to avoid and push him away, resulting in her hatred of him. After all, her parents would never do anything wrong, would they? He ducked into a crack in the wall, entering the basement and slinging on a pack while snorting. Since he was leaving, he had made a gift for everyone who had bullied or abused him, each with a ceiling tag filled with a fraction of all the urine he had thrown out. He had actually collected it every time he went to the restroom, as it made an excellent weapon and diversionary tactic. He'd use it now to cover the Namikaze Uzumaki compound in literally tons of shit. Slowly looking around the small room, he smirked and made a hand gesture, igniting the slow-burning explosive tags liberally applied to his house as he jumped into the tunnel. He heard the explosion through the tunnel about 30 seconds and 500 feet later, collapsing the end like nothing ever existed there, the tunnel ceiling as it propelled him onwards. Now, away from prying eyes or listening ears, he sobbed, sobbing at the unfairness of his life, at the beatings of civilians, at his sister's hatred, at his parents' cold eyes, which had shifted from, "It's for his own good," to, "I've always pushed him away, I have to continue even though I don't remember why. He'll never be my son." He raised his head, cold visage showing nothing but contempt for his past family. "I will return, and when I do, Konoha will pay for all the shit I had to put up with." He swore coldly. He fell asleep after making his promise, saving energy for the next day. How could he have known that day would be the turning point in his life? He crawled out of a hole in a hill the next day. He was on the crest of a large hill, probably about 500 feet above the rest of the forest. A large face of rock to his left bore a strange insignia. When he first discovered it, on one of his many trips out of the village, he felt drawn to it, a sense of recognition. As he got closer, he reached out and traced it before noticing a new feature. In the center of the concentric rings was a gleaming hole about the size of a finger, from which light shone. He poked his finger in, curious. He was flung away from the rock with a burst of energy, his eyes on fire. It felt like they were being stabbed with a hot kunai, a pain he remembered vividly from his 4th birthday. He screamed for what seemed like an eternity as his eyes changed at the genetic level. When he opened them, the pain vanished and the world changed. Light strings could be seen flowing through the air, through him, through the wall, and through the ground. He reached out, amazed, and touched one of the airborne lights, pushing it forward a little. He then heard it. A grinding sound, like someone pushing a heavy stone. When he returned his attention to the rock, he noticed it moving, splitting down the center and opening as a door. Inside was a dark room with a skeleton sitting on an old chair at a desk with a book. Curiosity drove him forward, sensing for any traps. When he couldn't find any, he reached for the book, carefully touching it. The door swung shut as soon as his finger touched the page, trapping him inside the cave. It was dark, and there was no light, but he could still see. The skeleton was surrounded by light strings. "It's chakra," he exclaimed, "I see chakra." He gasped again as he looked down at the book. It was the skeleton's final message. "If you were reading this, please accept my heartfelt congratulations as well as my deepest sympathies. Your life has not been easy. My name is Hagoromo Sutsuki, but most people know me as the Sage of Six Paths, the human incarnation of the 10-tailed demon god, the world's progenitor. And you are my heir, if you were reading this. Please accept my apologies. I should probably explain. While many people believe I sealed the Juubi within myself, the truth is that I am the Juubi in human form. Because the Juubi's power is too great for a human to contain, I absorbed its essence and became the Juubi in a human body. Before I die, I intend to divide this power so that no one I deem unworthy can have it after me. I've already decided to divide it into 10 pieces, plus the original body. 45% of it will be divided into 9 parts, the body will be launched into orbit by the power of my eyes, and the remaining 45% will be sealed in this cave with me to gradually regain the lost 45% of its power over time. I anticipated this, and you are now my heir and successor. I apologize for duping you in this manner, but you have inherited my eyes now, and the only way out of this cave is to become the Juubi. Jutsu will not work, and the cave is more powerful than chakra-imbued diamond to ensure this. I apologize once more. The reason for this is straightforward. The Juubi is a natural force. Without it, the world will gradually fall apart, devolving into chaos and destruction. If you're reading this, the process has already started, and the only way to stop it is to create a new Juubi. I tried to make sure that the person who would change was someone whose life had gone wrong, as a way of assisting them. I give you, my heir, my eyes, my power, and the Juubi, who is ensconced in the gem at the back of this cave. You must swallow it to absorb it, releasing the seal. I'll be keeping an eye on you. I was too old to become the Juubi and thus did not receive a full fusion. You will succeed, and you will have the immortality, knowledge, and power of the Juubi. Now, my final gift to you, if you will, is sealed in the back of this book with a chakra seal that only the Juubi's chakra can open. I wish you the best. And one more thing. Being the Juubi does not preclude you from exacting vengeance on those who have made your life a living hell. In fact, I believe it would be beneficial to demonstrate your power. According to what I've seen, the best thing for you to do is practice with the Juubi's power first, then return once you've mastered it. I wish you luck and success in your future endeavors. Naruto, it's your Nindo's responsibility to never give up. Shodai Juubi, Hagoromo Sutsuki, Shodai Juubi. P.S. I hereby adopt you as my descendant and give you my name to use as your own if you so desire. Except for an intricate seal on the back cover, the rest of the book was blank. Naruto blinked twice, stunned, then passed out as his new eyes rolled up in his head. Return to Konoha. Uzumaki Namikaze Minato was in a frenzy after discovering literally tons of poop covering clan buildings and learning that they were caused by his son, a son who had apparently died. His apartment building had exploded and burned down, incinerating any body that might have existed. Kushina was currently at the compound, crying her eyes out, while Uchiha Makoto, one of the few people who knew who Naruto was, tried to console her. The door slammed open, revealing Anbu in a dog mask. Hokage-sama, the demon brat, could still be alive. Minato clenched his teeth silently, wanting to tell them the truth and watch their heads explode, but he couldn't risk it as long as his son was alive, at least not until his plan was complete. "What exactly do you mean?" he inquired slowly. "We discovered a collapsed tunnel beneath his house, the end of which is hidden. We estimate a distance of more than 40 miles. It's unclear how he made it, but it's too regular to be hand-dug. I'd like to lead an Anbu team down there to find the brat and finish the job," Dog stated. Minato slowly released his killing intent, gradually increasing it. "Kakashi, I'll let you take Anbu to find him, but he must return alive and unharmed. If you can't find him, at least get his scent so you can track him down in the future," he yelled. "If I believe you have caused him harm, I will hand you over to Ibiki. Understand?" Kakashi became pale. "Hokage-sama, high." Minato sat down heavily as the Cyclops ran out of the room. What did he mean, a 40-mile tunnel? Naruto didn't have a chakra network, right? And it's not like he could use any other kind of energy, right? Slowly he began to sob, crying for his unclaimed son, the way they treated him, and how he no doubt hated them after years of neglect. If Kakashi found him, Minato would claim him. He wouldn't let his son be separated from him in that way. He didn't want his son to become a Konoha-hating shell. He could only hope that it wasn't too late. Naruto slowly awoke, rubbing his eyes. "What happened to me?" As he picked himself up off the floor, he moaned. Naruto frowned as he took a slow look around. Oh, well. It was true. While he was unconscious, something had changed. He was more understanding of the situation. While it was still crazy and unbelievable, he could see that it wasn't a joke or hallucination. Now he just had to accept that he would be changing. Slowly, he walked deeper into the cave, the chakra in the air lighting his path. At the back of the cave was a stone pedestal, a circular green gem about a half-inch in diameter. "Well, here goes nothing. I hope," he said, reaching out and taking the gem from where it had been sitting. He reached out, put the gem in his mouth, and swallowed nervously. Of course, he had no idea about the transformation or the pain that would ensue. His body fell to the ground in agony the moment he swallowed, slowly disintegrating, changing from matter to chakra. The process was slow and painful, and once it reached his heart, he passed out. Every shinobi in the elemental nations froze for a moment, every shinobi with any sense for chakra. They didn't sense anything, per se, but they knew something had changed. There was something different, something had changed around the world. All of the Bijuu inside humans began to rage, smashing their seals and yelling about how they needed to get out, until a figure appeared, instinctively calming them and greeting them with instructions. Minato had no idea what that wave had been, only that Reina had burst into his office and curled up on the floor, screaming about the kyuubi trying to break out, and that when they had calmed her down after an hour or so of unconsciousness, they discovered the full story, and that her unconsciousness had been caused by the kyuubi. Flashback. The kyuubi inside Reina had sensed the wave as well, and despite the Juubi's inability to return, he knew what it meant. As powerful as he was, the Juubi was a literal god, far beyond his pitiful power, and he, like all of the Bijuu, was drawn to serve him. After all 9 Bijuu were merely offshoots of the Juubi, their lord. Roaring, he slammed himself against the cage, forcing his chakra out regardless of the pain, but it did change something, as Reina was drawn into the mindscape forcibly. A hooded and cloaked figure appeared in Reina's mindscape, with a face obscured by shadows, and the kyuubi froze, the figure's shadow being that of the Juubi, the 10-tailed demon god. Kyuubi bowed to the figure, who raised his pale hand. Kyuubi, I apologize, but I need you to calm down. This girl is useful to me, and I need her to live. You don't have to work with her, but you must keep her alive and well for me. Tell her nothing about this, or what that wave was. Finally, if you ever sense my chakra from anyone, don't tell anyone. I will eventually return to free you. Do you get it, Kyuubi? The Kyuubi nodded submissively, annoyed but understanding. Please address me as Kurama, my lord. It will be done as you say. The figure then turned to Reina, who had remained motionless throughout the exchange. Girl, I have something you should know. Inquire with your parents about the boy who lacks a chakra network. They'll get what I'm saying. Tell them that while I was watching, the boy in question disintegrated. I'll see you again someday. He vanished in a swirl of darkness, leaving Kyuubi humbled and Reina perplexed. Flashback concludes. When Minato heard what the figure said, he froze. Are you certain that the person said that? In hushed tones, he inquired. Yes. Who, after all, is it? Reina inquired, perplexed. Without saying anything, Minato channeled chakra into an emergency seal, summoning Kushina from their home. Minato? What? Kushina. There was a lead and a problem. Reina, please tell your mother what happened, Minato said. Reina did so, not realizing what she was doing. Kushina burst into tears as she heard the figure's words. No. Please no. She yelled, tears streaming down her cheeks. Reina was taken aback and terrified by this unexpected display of emotion. After all, she was only 6, Mom. Who is this person? Why are you crying so much? She yelled. Kushina snarled, I'm not sure why, but I'm going to kill him. He murdered his family. What? Reina was perplexed. You had a twin, sweetie. Naruto was your identical twin, but he lacked a chakra network. We couldn't claim him because he wouldn't be able to defend himself against our enemies. We avoided him, but he must have known he was related to us. He fled 2 days ago after destroying his home. This person is now claiming that he is deceased. Iwa had no way of knowing who he was this quickly, so he had to kill him. Did you see his face? Minato asked, sadly, then angrily. What did he look like, and how did he sound? Reina shook as she realized the boy she had tormented for so long was related to her, Oni-san. She exclaimed, it can't be. Reina. Minato snarled, we can talk about that when we get home, but for now, I need to know everything I can about the person who murdered your brother. He's ruined all of my plans. Reina fixed her gaze on him. I couldn't make out his face, but his voice was male but high, and he was short, perhaps 5 feet tall. His voice sounded like that of a child, but no child could command the kyuubi. She's right, Minato thought. Anyone able to control the kyuubi, let alone anyone the kyuubi acknowledges as its lord, is a big problem. We need to find this guy and kill or capture him fast. Okay, Reina. Was the kyuubi agitated when he appeared? Was he forced to obey by this man, or did he do so on his own? Minato inquired cautiously. Kyuubi, will you work with me for a single day and tell them? Reina asked quickly. Yes, but only once. After all, it's my job to keep you alive, and if you try to harm him, you'll perish. Make a cage bun shin with my chakra so that I can speak directly. Kurama said this while giving her a small amount of chakra. The kyuubi wants to tell you, Reina explained, no jutsu, cage bunshin. A miniature nine-tailed fox appeared with a burst of red smoke rather than the usual gray. Calm down, Minato, Kushina, it began. At the moment, I mean no harm to you. In fact, as much as it irritates me, I have been ordered to protect your daughter. Who was that person, and why did you address him as your lord? What do you know about him? Kushina demanded. Kurama chuckled angrily, that was my lord, Juubi-sama, girl. The all-powerful demon god. I don't know him personally, but every demon is familiar with his chakra. That wave you felt was the crowning of a new lord, the last being my father, the sage of six paths. In terms of what I know about him, I know next to nothing. He is no longer human. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. However, there is one suggestion. It's pointless to seek vengeance if he murdered your son. My power is the most powerful of the Bijuu, but he could destroy all 9 of us at once. And I don't just mean disperse us. I mean kill us. All 9 Bijuu have our tails, but one tail for us is less than 1% of his total power, despite the fact that he only has 10 visible tails. We collectively have less than half of his power. Of course, Kurama understood what the figure meant by disintegrated, as that was how the Juubi was born, but he wasn't about to betray his lord or help these people. All he needed to do was keep the girl alive. Minato and the others were doing a fish out of water impression, gaping wide, but. I'm not supposed to tell you who he is, and I'm not going to help your daughter if she decides to fight him. Now say goodbye. Kurama's clone dispersed, leaving behind red smoke and a confused, frightened crowd. The god, human in question was laying on the cave's stone floor, his mind romping through each Jinchuriki, drawn to their Bijuu while his body was rebuilding. It took a while for it to completely disintegrate, then form into chakra, then form that chakra back into a solid form, but the process was now finished. As he stood up slowly, his ice-blue eyes with blood-red rings and tomo, the Rinnegan's colors unique to each Juubi, opened to look at himself. He was a complete anomaly, standing at 5 feet 8 inches, with a slim build and spiky yellow hair with red tips. He had some peculiarities, such as claw-like hands and pointed teeth. He also had horns. Horns, albeit small, but horns nonetheless. Well, this is interesting, he said, his voice deepening. Let's look into that seal. He returned his attention to the journal, picking it up again and flipping to the back seal. He channeled chakra into it slowly, and it was as if lightning struck him. His consciousness was touched by the consciousness of the six-path sage. Naruto, please use my memory and knowledge as the Naruto Juubi as my final gifts to you. With that, a link was established between his consciousness and the alien consciousness, pouring memories, knowledge, and skills not his own into his mind. They were strangely sealed away, suppressed beneath his skin so as not to change him. After all, we are the sum of our memories. They'd be reachable, but not on the surface. Naruto was astounded by the wealth of information that was coursing through him. Some of the things were thought to be impossible, such as how to solidify ambient chakra in the air and create items from it. As it poured knowledge into him, his consciousness shrank and faded away. Naruto, as the Juubi, your natural chakra is beyond any simple Bijuu or ninja. When you use it, it's like blasting huge fire jutsu into the sky. Here I am, come find me, said the sage. I'm putting a seal on it to reduce the signal to nearly nothing, but you must be careful. Any Jinchuriki allied with their Bijuu can sense you regardless of what seal you have. Finally, speaking of seals, I can sense your fears about becoming sealed like a Bijuu. Don't be afraid of that. As the Juubi and infinite chakra, no seals will stick to you or affect you if you don't wish them to. The sage vanished as he finished, embarking on his final journey into the realms of death. "Thank you, Father," Naruto said, tears streaming down his unique eyes as he saw the past through the sage's memories. Minato and Kushina both froze in Konoha, a sense of sadness filling them. They weren't sure what had happened to their son, but something had changed. A 2-year time jump. Naruto was walking through Kumogakure. He had been an assassin, a mercenary, met Pain and Itachi, who helped him train and locate the Bijuu, and now began to take the Bijuu from their respective villages, bringing them to Kumo because it was one of 2 places that treated them like humans. The other, Konoha, was absent for obvious reasons, and because they didn't treat the Bijuu like humans, they treated the container as a human while still despising the Bijuu itself. He was accompanied by the Bijuu of Iwagakure, Roshi, and Han. When he was close, all of the Bijuu could tell, and they would even fight their own hosts if he wanted to. "Why, Juubi-sama, Kumo of all places?" Roshi inquired. "Because it doesn't treat Jinchuriki like tools. You get to be your own people," Naruto explained. "Plus, I am an unofficial shinobi of Kumo, and the Raikage owes me a few favors, so even if he didn't want more Jinchuriki, he wouldn't refuse." Even though all of the Jinchuriki, except Reina, knew his name, they referred to him as Juubi-sama unless otherwise instructed. Over the previous 2 years, he had taken Taki's Jinchuriki, Fus of Kiri, the Sanbi, who had to be freed from his host due to his host being under the control of a genjutsu for so long that he was insane, and the Rokubi's host, Utakata, as well as the Ichibi from Suna, whose Jinchuriki he had helped fix his seal. He was now accompanying the 2 from Iwagakure, Roshi and Han. B and Yugito had already arrived in Kumo. Of course, the villages didn't like it when he took their weapons, and they tried to stop him. That did not go well. In Iwagakure, the Tsuchikage himself had been seriously injured while attempting to stop Naruto, whom the bingo book referred to as the Shadow Walker, despite the fact that there was no description of him or his abilities, other than using blasts of energy to vaporize attackers and instant regeneration. Surprisingly, the elderly man survived. After leaving the cave where he had become the Juubi, he had waited a while, practicing his powers in the Land of Lightning, and joined a company as an assassin, though it was more of a, if he wasn't busy and the payoff was good enough, he'd do the job, but after a while of that, he had headed to Kumo on a rumor of how they treated Bijuu. They were waiting for him when he arrived, Kumo's Anbu escorting him directly to the Raikage and his brother, B. The Raikage claimed that B and the Hachibi had detected him as he crossed the border and forced his brother to prepare. When the Raikage asked what his intentions as Juubi were, he simply smiled and said, to save the Bijuu. Naruto had told him of his plan, contingent on Kumo treating the Bijuu he brought like people rather than weapons and respecting their decisions, and the Raikage had wholeheartedly approved. He had long had complaints about how the other villages, particularly Kiri, had treated their Jinchuriki and Bijuu. The fact that Kumo would have 8 loyal defenders, excluding Naruto, aided the decision-making process. Naruto had revealed his identity and what he intended to do with Konoha after informing him of the plan. He wanted to return when he was 10, to give his parents one last chance. When the Raikage said that, he had no idea that the Juubi, the most powerful being on the planet, was only a decade old. Still, Naruto had a lingering attachment to them, but if they betrayed his trust, he would have no problem damning them all. Hey, nobody said being a god meant he had to be nice. The Raikage laughed again, this time applauding his plan, and both swore an oath to protect the Bijuu and their hosts. Then Naruto set out to begin his plan. He was now bringing in the final set, their positions already prepared in Kumo. 2 years in the past. Naruto was frequently seen sitting in a bar with his godmother, with his shapeshift up obviously. He had communicated with her and his godfather, both of whom were relieved he was still alive. They had no idea what had happened, only that he had surpassed both of them in power. They had even agreed not to tell him about Naruto being alive until he was ready, after hearing how Minato had abandoned him. In exchange, Naruto taught both his transformation technique, which actually changed the caster's form, to the point where a male transformed into a female could actually get pregnant, or an old person could shapeshift into a younger one and have all those years left if their mind remained healthy. In exchange, both were happy to teach him some of their more advanced jutsu. For Jiraiya, he was taught the Rasengan and how to summon, despite the fact that he didn't have a contract or want the toads. His Rinnegan gave him access to the chakra construct summoning path, also known as the demon art of summoning, which allowed him to summon demons, devils, and other supernatural beings. Jiraiya found it difficult to stop pestering Naruto to summon a horde of succubi and let him have fun after learning that. Only the news that they would literally drain his soul out through his man parts and eat it silenced him, and even then he wanted to see what they looked like as inspiration for his books did not stop him. Naruto eventually agreed to summon one succubus and let Jiraiya command it for one day without it harming him. As the god of demons, he could command the succubus not to feed from the mega perv, in exchange for never asking Naruto to summon them again. It was a bad combination of perverts and succubi. He learned Tsunade's art of meiotic regeneration and the theory behind a slew of high-level healing jutsu from her. He didn't bother learning the jutsu, preferring to use his excess chakra and perfect control to effectively force another body to heal by recreating the damaged area with chakra solidification. When Jiraiya went into Sage mode one time to demonstrate it for Naruto, he learned of his connection with nature, or more accurately nature's connection with him. It took a lot of pleading on his part to keep Jiraiya quiet about the amount of nature chakra he could sense from Naruto, but he did eventually. He stayed with Tsunade until it was time for him to leave, to return to the hell he referred to as his birthplace. Konoha. Naruto approached the Konoha gates wearing a set of clothing that resembled the lightweight armor worn by scouting teams, inlaid with seals and forged of his own chakra metal, unbreakable due to his chakra constantly cycling through it. It did, however, have a genjutsu over it, causing others to mistake it for a normal set of civilian clothing with a special katana over his back. He had a genjutsu on, giving him black hair, green eyes and very pale skin. His demonic features had vanished, he had been shape-shifted away, and his energy had been reduced to almost nothing, at least for him. He couldn't have any sensors detect him, could he? As he approached, he mentally transformed, putting on the mask of the dark, slightly amusing teen with an evil past, hiding behind the mask the cold-blooded, sarcastic, sadistic demon. "Halt!" yelled the gate guard, "State your business." "I have information for the Hokage." Naruto said calmly, "It's about his child. Due to some recent security problems, all people wishing to meet with the Hokage need to have chakra-suppressing seals placed on them for the duration of the meeting, and no weapons," he said, holding out his hands for the sword. Naruto shook his head, accepting the tag and placing it on his back. After all, it didn't accomplish anything. After the formalities were completed, the Chunin grabbed his shoulder and Shunshin-ed him outside the Hokage tower. "Ah yes, Hokage-sama is expecting you," the secretary said as they walked in. Naruto walked past her into the office, escorted by the Chunin. Minato Namikaze Uzumaki, Kushina Namikaze Uzumaki, and Reina Namikaze Uzumaki were seated at a table inside. "So, who are you, and what information do you have on my daughter?" Minato asked matter-of-factly. "I don't have information on your daughter. It's your son I come to you about," Naruto chuckled softly. "I don't know what you're talking about," all three stiffened slightly. "I only have one child," Minato said slowly. "Hokage-san, let's not play this game. If you want my information, stop treating me like an idiot and denying a fact I know." After all, I found him, Naruto sighed. You're lying. Our son died 4 years ago. He was, Kushina glared at him. Disintegrated. Yes, I know, Naruto interjected, but what did you get told, exactly? He disintegrated, right? You were never told he was dead, and he didn't die. Naruto is alive and well, and I can show you a picture of him if you want. He held out a picture of himself in his old form before he became the Juubi, aged about 2 years, and all 3 sucked in their breath. His 6 whisker scars were visible, and his blue eyes said a lot. He's completely fine. Where is my Oni-san? Reina asked, her voice trembling. I came here because of him. He sent me a message. He wants to return, if you will fulfill a few conditions. Firstly, he does know of his parentage, obviously. He wants legal emancipation and his new surname, chosen by him. Secondly, he wants to be put into the academy to take the test, this year. I can vouch that he has skills far beyond a genin. Hell, he is better than a jonin. He hates us. He wants to get out of our family. Kushina sobbed, I knew it. I knew we shouldn't have pushed him away. Minato frowned at the list, and Kushina burst into tears. Ahem, Mr. Minato patted her on the shoulder. Naruto said, Sutsuki. Alright, Mr. Sutsuki, is there any way you can bring him here to talk face to face? We'll offer whatever you want. No, I will not betray him, Naruto said quietly. Then perhaps he will come to rescue his messenger, Minato said, his face hardening. Well, that won't work for 2 reasons. 1, if I go missing, he'll simply believe Konoha doesn't respect his wishes and join another village, and 2, I wouldn't go quietly. While I may not be able to beat you all, I can at least send a message to him before I go. He has obtained the backing of the Raikage, after all, and the new Mizukage. If you're willing to alienate your son even more and rally too. Fine, Minato said, sighing, tell him we'll accept his conditions with one of our own. He has to prove to us that he can use chakra with enough skill to be a successful ninja. Agreed, Naruto said with a smile, but please remove the chakra suppressor tag so I can contact him. He turned around, revealing the tag. This was just for show, he didn't want to show them the full extent of his abilities. Minato nodded, pulling it off. As he did so, Naruto activated his general genjutsu, not the one over his demonic features. Alright, what now? Minato and Kushina blinked a few times, their mouths opening and closing. Reina, on the other hand, jumped at him, squealing, only for him to catch her and set her down at the table. I wouldn't put something like this in the hands of a subordinate, Naruto explained. Is that you, and Naruto? Kushina asked slowly. Naruto Sutsuki. Now, Naruto said sharply, does the genjutsu that fooled all of you count as demonstrating chakra control or skills? Minato nodded silently, clearly unwilling to speak. Am I then fired? Naruto inquired. Wait Sochi. Kushina exclaimed quickly, I need to speak with you, to explain. I really don't want to talk about that. I'd rather not remember that time. I know why you did it, but I can't forgive. By your leave, Naruto said, shaking his head. He vanished in a shunshin with no elements. Kushina. I don't think we should approach him anytime soon. I'll send a note to the academy, but we need to keep his distance, to give him time to adjust. Kushina. I don't think we should approach him anytime soon. I'll send a note to the academy, but we need to keep his distance, to give him time to adjust. I'm hoping Jiraiya appears soon. I just hope he eventually forgives us, Kushina said sadly. Reina just sobbed. Naruto entered the academy the next day, 4 months before the final exam. An Anbu had discovered him at Ichiraku's ramen stand, where he was conversing with the Ichirakus, one of the few families who hadn't treated him as a demon. The dog-masked Anbu had sent him on his way with a note to Iruka and directions to the academy. He felt all eyes on him as he opened the door to the classroom. He handed the note from the Hokage to the teacher, Iruka. "Alright, class, we have a new student, Naruto Sutsuki, who has returned after 4 years, and he will be joining our class and taking the graduation exam with us," Iruka said slowly. "What?" exclaimed Kiba Inuzuka. "The demon is back? Why does he get to skip most of the year?" Iruka began to respond, but was cut off as Kiba fell to the floor, gasping as Naruto radiated a killing intent that was primarily directed at Kiba. It was only about 1% of his maximum, but any more would have killed the boy, which he didn't want. "Is that what you were looking for?" "As impressive as that was, please don't make it a habit." "You can sit next to Sasuke," Iruka interjected. Naruto simply nodded and moved to the back of the class to sit next to the duck-butt Avenger, who regarded him with admiration, impressed by his ki. "Alright, today we'll go over the 3 academy jutsu, and since we've gone over them before, after this you'll all be splitting up into groups based on where your skills are and what you need help with." "Alright, today we'll go over the 3 academy jutsu, and since we've gone over them before, after this you're all going to be splitting up into groups based on where your skills are and what you need help with, Naruto sighed as he sat in Iruka's chair at the front of the class. "What's that?" He'd snatched a human kawarimi with no smoke, no sense of displacement, and without the target noticing. "I'm sorry, but I don't have the chakra control required for single bunshin, but I can do other bunshin types, and I can create thousands of them," he said as he switched back to Iruka. "Kage bunshin no jutsu," he said evilly. The doors flew open in an instant, a swarm of Naruto's clones swarming into the classroom, on the walls, and even on the ceiling, each wearing that evil smile. And finally, the henge. "Transform!" he exclaimed as all of the bunshins transformed into animals. "Does it count if it is a true henge?" "I don't make an illusion, I actually change myself or my clones," he said, transforming himself into a miniature version of the 9-tailed fox. The rest of the class was asking, why the fuck is he in the academy? How can he have so much chakra? He had no network. Come to think of it, how did he make the tunnel out 4 years ago? There was no way that was natural, Reina thought quickly. "I'll have to ask To-san when I get home. Maybe if I ask nicely, he'll teach me." "Nice one, Juubi-sama. I'm flattered that you're using my form, he. Oh, I hope I can come out soon." Kurama snickered in his cage. How does he have this much power? He's a nobody, a clanless loser. Sasuke exclaimed, "I am a Uchiha elite." "I know. I'll talk to the council, and they'll make him give me this power." The fox boy turned to him, snickering slightly, as if it could read his mind. "Anyway, does that work?" Naruto asked casually. "Why yes, it does," Iruka said slowly as he closed his mouth. All of the clones vanished as one, but Naruto remained in his fox form, saying sarcastically, "I like this form. Don't mind me." "Anyway, Sasuke, you're next," Iruka said slowly. As Naruto began to walk towards his lodging, a building he had purchased in an upscale part of town, an Anbu appeared beside him and said, "The council is ordering for you." "Good for them," Naruto said as he continued walking, ignoring the Anbu. "You have to come," Anbu insisted. "Actually, as far as I know, I'm not a ninja yet, so they have no power over me," Naruto clarified, "and I don't want to." The Anbu sighed and walked away. The civilian and shinobi councils were gathered in the council chambers, waiting for the Anbu to return with the boy who had become the talk of the academy. They noticed he was missing something as soon as he appeared. Specifically, the person he was sent to find. "Where is the boy? Where is Naruto Sutsuki?" inquired a member of the civilian council. He said he didn't want to come, and pointed out that since he wasn't a ninja yet, you have no control over whether or not he comes. "I can't do anything, he's actually right about it," the Anbu replied, with the majority of the Shinobi Council openly smirking at his response. "What?" yelled a member of the civilian council, "how dare he? Bring him here now." Council Lady Haruno, that would be illegal," the Anbu exclaimed. "As the subject in question does not wish to meet with us at this time, I move we end this session now and get back to whatever we wanted to do." The Hyuga clan head chuckled. "I know we'll be going to buy earplugs for the next session." He reached up, pulling a purple cone of foam out of one of his ears. These appear to be defective. Shikaku Nara seconded the motion, and everyone left as both councils' sweat dropped. Danzo, Kaharu, and Homura, the three advisors, remained behind as they filed out. "What the nerve of that brat!" raged Kaharu. "How dare he refuse the council?" "Don't worry, Kaharu. I'll have him under my control one way or another," Danzo said calmly before realizing what he said made him sound like a pedophile and quickly exiting, a red blush spreading on his cheeks. They had no way of knowing that one of the boy's clones was enslaved and in that exact room. A fly on the wall who chuckled slightly before flying away. Naruto was standing at his front door when another Anbu appeared, this time from the Hokage. "Oh, not another one." He groaned as he turned to face the masked shinobi. "The Hokage would like to speak with you about the display at the academy today," the shinobi explained, adding, "I was dispatched to take you to him." "Fine," Naruto sighed. When the Anbu touched him, they both vanished in a flurry of leaves. When they arrived in the Hokage's office, the leaves had vanished. Naruto turned to the Anbu. "You're going to go to my house and pick up every one of those leaves you just spread, right?" he said, his words laced with enough killing intent to bring the Anbu to his knees. Hi," he said quickly before disappearing. "You wish to see me, Hokage-sama?" Naruto sighed, turning to face the Hokage. "Yes, I was wondering, what exactly did you do at the academy today?" Minato inquired. "According to reports, they saw you make approximately 70 shadow clones, and then do solid transformations of them and yourself, an S-ranked kinjutsu." "What kind of genjutsu was it?" "It wasn't a genjutsu, Hokage-sama. If you want, I can demonstrate either of the skills here, with someone with the Byakugan or Sharingan watching to verify, as long as they keep it secret," Naruto said slowly. "Well then," Minato sighed, "I'll call a council meeting so you can demonstrate it." "Fine, if you promise to gag the Banshee," Naruto shrugged. "It's a shinobi matter, so we only need the Shinobi Council," Minato said, sweat dropping as he wondered how he knew the Haruno council lady. "Fine then," Naruto said, nodding. Naruto was reinforcing his illusions about his demonic aspects as the clan heads gathered, not knowing what was going on. He knew the Byakugan wouldn't be able to see them, and that if they even looked at him, he'd blind them, but the Sharingan was an unknown variable. "Alright then. I'm going to skip all the formalities, as this is an unofficial meeting. I called you here to verify something, and wanted to make it official. Fugaku, Hiyashi, will you please direct your dojutsu to Naruto here?" Minato stood as Fugaku Uchiha entered the room. Naruto emerged from the shadows, only for Hiyashi to scream, "Oh God!" with his hands over his eyes. "What happened?" Minato exclaimed, "What just happened?" My eyes. I can't see anything. His chakra blinded me. His entire body shines like the sun." Hiyashi sobbed, "He's a monster. He has more chakra than the Bijuu." Everyone's gaze returned to Naruto, who shrugged. I told you I was tough. Fugaku Uchiha activated his Sharingan as two Anbu carried Hiashi out of the room, glaring at Naruto, only to gasp, paling, before grabbing his chest and collapsing. What the hell is happening? Minato yelled, Anbu grabbing Fugaku. My energy is too powerful for them to look at, Naruto mused. Anyway, I also had something to say to the council. He paused, closing his eyes. I have a request. As I am no longer part of my old family, Minato winced. Am I considered a clan head? I have my own bloodline too. The council buzzed, no offense to the Abarames, and Shikaku inquired, what bloodline? It's kinda strange. Naruto paused, I can't die. Many people raised their eyebrows. What do you mean? Yamanaka Inoichi asked. You can't mean you're immortal. If someone gives me a weapon, I can demonstrate, Naruto shrugged. Kakashi, dressed in Anbu garb, handed Naruto a short wakizashi, which he accepted with a nod. As I said, just watch, Naruto said, placing the tip of his blade over his heart and thrusting before anyone could react. The apparent suicide elicited gasps until they realized, wait, he's not falling over or anything. As I said, I can't die. I can be wounded, but all I have to do is kill myself to regenerate even if my natural regeneration doesn't heal me nearly instantly. Even if my entire body is destroyed down to an atomic level, I can come back, Naruto said, releasing the blade that was stuck through him. He'd been hit with the atomic dismantling jutsu, but his body had only reformed. After all, it was made of chakra and could regenerate itself from the chakra in the air. He did, however, have some flaws. Things like the kamui, which transported items to other dimensions, could hurt him because they didn't actually wound him. Instead, they separated those parts and transported them away. It was originally a teleportation defensive technique, though he could slowly regenerate from it or use the surefire method of killing himself, along with other space ninjutsu. Fortunately, even if they could severely injure him, he couldn't die. The benefits of being a living god. The stunned council members took about 2 minutes to pick their jaws up off the floor. Shikaku inquired after his recovery, how does your ability work? Is it instantaneous regeneration or some other ability? Neither. My body is special. I won't go into specifics, but for all intents and purposes, I am unkillable, Naruto said with a smile. How did you come to have this invincibility? Shibi Aburame inquired. It's not like any other bloodline I've heard of. Did your parents have it? Not that I know of, and I'm not even sure it's a bloodline, because part of it means I don't actually have blood, Naruto shrugged. This prompted another round of gaping, until Naruto sighed and pulled out the sword. Instead of blood, it had a sheen of glowing liquid on it, which quickly evaporated, sealing the hole in his chest as it was withdrawn. Well, I for one believe that any chance of a bloodline like this being passed down should be fully grasped, so I propose that we establish a Sutsuki clan with Naruto Sutsuki as its leader, Shikaku said quickly. I second that movement, Shibi said, requesting a vote. By the end of the election, Konoha had a new clan bearing the name of the Sage of Six Paths. We'll need to build a clan compound eventually, but for now, I assume you want to stay where you are, Minato inquired. Indeed, Hokage-sama, I know it is unusual, if not downright unusual, for an academy student to have a seat on the council, so I would like to request that the council appoint a representative for me, someone I met on my travels, Naruto said. Unfortunately, that is not allowed without a full council vote, which the civilians will not agree to, Minato said, but we can put your seat in holding, so that you only have to come for serious business, rather than every little meeting. Thank you, Naruto said, nodding. I believe this concludes our meeting. I do not feel I need a demonstration of Naruto's capabilities after learning of this, Minato said, turning back to the council. If nobody has any further questions or concerns, you may leave. The shinobi clan heads filed out as one, Naruto leading the way. When he finally made it home without Anbu's interference, he discovered a different type of annoyance. A katana swept his head from his shoulders the moment he entered his home, held by a blank-masked Anbu agent. When his head made contact with the floor, it disintegrated into nothingness and regrew on his neck. He quickly brought his hand up to stop a second chakra rod swing, and flared his chakra past the seals the sage had placed on him, acting as a giant beacon to anyone who could sense it. Danzo-sama was correct, said the blank-masked Anbu, you are immortal. Why the fuck are there so many people determined to annoy me today? I don't like busybodies or people trying to kill me, and you fall into both categories, so you won't get to report back to Danzo. You're going to lose your soul, the boy growled. As he spoke, 100 Anbu appeared all around the house, trapping both the root Anbu and Naruto. What the hell is going on here? Exclaimed Minato, what was that chakra spike? Little busy being attacked. I needed someone here to verify what I'm about to do isn't illegal, Naruto said, holding back root Anbu's katana. As he spoke, he formed one-handed seals with his other hand, Kinjutsu soul binding. Ghostly silver chains appeared out of nowhere and wrapped around the Anbu agent, ripping his soul from his physical body and dragging it into the floor, straight to hell. After that, the physical body fell to the ground, alive but soulless. Feva. Hello? Just got attacked by a Konoha ninja? Isn't a little interrogation now? Naruto asked, turning to see Minato and the Anbu staring wide-eyed. Isn't he dead? Minato asked, shaking his head. No, I extracted his soul, but his brain and memories are still intact. He'll obey orders but has no mind of his own now, Naruto explained. This technique was created by the one whose name I bear, Hagoromo Sutsuki. Seeing as he isn't technically dead, you haven't done anything wrong, two Anbu said as they picked up the body. We'll interrogate him about who he was and why he attacked you. If something like this happens again, I will be forced to consider Konoha unsafe for me and any potential family I might have and leave. One more incident, Naruto said, glaring at Minato. Minato nodded, understanding the message. If this happens again, he'll leave forever. He promised, we will take every precaution from this point on. Of course, his idea of precautions differed greatly from Naruto's. Naruto nodded, the chakra rod disappearing into his sleeve and being dissolved back into him. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some sleep to catch up on. Danzo was enraged in the root headquarters. The brat had not only survived, but he had rendered useless all of the time he had spent training his men to resist interrogation and render seals useless. If he could turn them into soulless drones, he could force them to reveal all of his secrets. Danzo couldn't counter because he didn't know what jutsu he used on them. He sat down in a hard-backed chair, growling, damn brat. Not only is the kyuubi brat out of my reach, but this new brat is even worse. You have no idea, a laugh came from the shadows. How did you find this place? Danzo inquired cautiously. Why Danzo, nothing is impossible for a demon god. I am the Juubi, lord of the tailed beasts and god of destruction, and the person who will be killing you, blue eyes with red rings and tomo in them opened in the shadows. I don't think so, Koto Amatsukami. Exclaimed Danzo. You really expect your Sharingan to affect a being like me? I am made of chakra, you idiot, there is no mind for you to affect. The eyes widened for a second before narrowing. You really expect your Sharingan to affect a being like me? I am made of chakra, you idiot, there is no mind for you to affect. Not unless I kill you first. Glared Danzo. He then detonated the explosive tags in the hideout after activating the Izanagi. There were enough to form a crater a few miles across. "You lose, Juubi," Danzo exclaimed triumphantly as the dust settled in the crater. "Oh really?" a voice behind him asked, before a broadsword swung across his neck, cutting nothing. Danzo, on the other hand, felt the effects. As his chakra network began to overload, he fell to his knees, chakra racing through his system. Aside from its standard katana shape, Naruto's sword, Ghost Moon, had 3 forms. The broadsword was the first, and in that form it inserted tailed beast chakra into everything it touched, overloading the target's network while causing no physical damage. The second was a spear known as the Spear of Glory, a weapon capable of killing anything, including gods other than its master. The final form was one of complete destruction. When Naruto transformed it into the third form, it vanished into him, forming a mental link with him. When this occurred, he gained control of every chakra network in the area, allowing him to destroy or improve them with a single thought. That form, on the other hand, was nearly uncontrollable. He had only used it once and was still scarred by the sight of hundreds of people literally turning liquid as chakra burst from every cell in their bodies, unbinding them from the others and breaking cohesion. According to the sage's memories, he could do something like that if he released his full power, but doing so would send up a chakra flare large enough to literally destroy the elemental nations with its power. Tailed beasts, of course, were immune to the first form, but the second and third could kill them. It was intended to protect them rather than kill them, and it was one of the tools Hagoromo had left behind in the cave, but Naruto had actually made the thing out of his chakra. The other is a sealing scroll that can contain even a tailed beast or human while alive, while also slowly healing and replenishing the chakra within it. The creature inside could choose when to leave and was aware of its surroundings, making it unique among seals. Naruto had duplicated the seal onto himself, but changed it so that it passively absorbed free-floating chakra and gave it to the creature inside to increase their maximum reserves. He'd written it on his arms and sealed 2 summons inside them. As the Juubi, he possessed the ability to summon any creature, including humans if he so desired, as well as tailed beasts, demons. Agnid, the king of dragons, was in one of the seals, and Leviathan, the lord of the depths, was in the other. Both were creatures from the sage's time who were completely devoted to the Juubi. It didn't hurt that he treated them like brothers and taught them how to conceal their abilities so they could interact with humans. He also created a toned-down version of the seal for publication as his own work. Even a demon needs to make money. Danzo stumbled towards Naruto, reaching out to touch him, but exploding right before he touched him, exploding into a spray of gore. His arm and head were completely intact, as Sheridan demonstrated. Naruto had purposefully avoided channeling chakra into those areas in order to preserve them. Naruto grimaced fiercely as he used Kamui to teleport Danzo's arm and head to Itachi, who had assisted him in mastering the powers of his eyes. He and Nagato had become Naruto's friends after he demonstrated the truth of his Juubi claims. Nagato had helped him control his eyes, and Naruto had forcibly awakened Itachi's Rinnegan knockoff. The final level of the Sharingan isn't as powerful as the true Rinnegan, which contains the 7 paths, counting outer, and the abilities of the Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan, and Byakugan, as well as the ability to see chakra in the air passively and manipulate it, as a thank you for helping him with the. Itachi had told him the truth about the Uchiha massacre, infuriating the young Juubi that Danzo would assign such a task to the most peaceful of the Uchiha. He finally got his revenge. Furthermore, Itachi had the authority to decide what to do with the Sharingan. Naruto vanished in a Kamui to his home, leaving before the Anbu arrived to see the crater. They would only find gore in a hole. Naruto made friends with Aburame Shino, Nara Shikamaru, and especially Hyuga Hinata as the time until graduation passed quickly. He also had a shaky relationship with Kiba, who irritated him with his sexist and rude remarks, as well as the way he treated women. On the first day, he had warned Hinata not to look at him with her dojutsu or risk blindness. He had tried to reduce the amount of chakra that was constantly flowing through him, but it was still dangerous to a Hyuga. She and he were very close. She served as a sounding board for ideas and assisted him in designing and testing new jutsu and seals. She was also the only person he had revealed his past, the truth, and his mask to. She had a mask like his, she was strong and, to be honest, a little sadistic, but she had to hide behind the nervous, stuttering, weak front to keep her family from finding out. Konoha would rather die than let a Hyuga leave, caged bird seal or not, and she despised it with all her rage. Finding a creature like herself within the boy she had fallen for was a godsend. The truth was originally a coincidence. She had sensed something off about his chakra and inquired as to why it felt so dark, prompting his careful consideration and explanation. Of course, they were boyfriend-girlfriend by then, and he trusted her with the information despite the fact that she was also hiding something. He loved her even more after she revealed her true self after he told her. In fact, he had taken her to the Kamui realm at her request. There, he had transformed into his full demonic god form, removing his mask and channeling enough chakra into her to transform her into a being worthy of 9 tails, as well as bestowing the same kind of control seal the sage had bestowed on him. After all, she couldn't be weak if she was going to be his mate, could she? She still needed to unlock the latent power, but once she did, she'd be able to match Kurama in terms of pure power, if not experience. They'd been there for a few weeks, to them, or seconds in reality, training and doing other things. Hinata was his soulmate by the end, and she was aware of it. He'd fallen hard for her, and she'd fallen hard for him. He was the only one who knew his true identity and his past, and she was the only one who knew her inner demon. And she despised Minato and his family, which was a plus in his eyes. He only returned to the real world at her request. She didn't want to stay with him forever there, as much as she wanted to. So, Naruto, who do you think will be on your team? Shikamaru inquired the day after graduation. It was well known that he would pass, and after his first day's performance, not even Tsunade would bet against him. I'm not sure. The Hokage will probably put me with his daughter for her protection and to talk to me, and as she's the lead kunoichi, but I'm not sure who the third member will be. As long as it's not one of the assholes who think I'm the reincarnation of the kyuubi, I'll be fine, Naruto said. He smirked inwardly, he was so much more than the kyuubi. Shino gave him a sharp look. His insects had picked up on Naruto's strange chakra, demonic and so thick they couldn't bear touching him, and he suspected Naruto was hiding something big. Well, I'd assume you'd be paired with the last, but everyone knows Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino will be paired, Hinata said. Naruto had made it a priority to appear to fix her stuttering and confidence, so that she could gradually remove the mask, and he appeared to be making rapid progress. Her Juken and confidence were at an all-time high, as far as anyone else knew. True, so I guess it'd be you, Hinata, Naruto shrugged. Hinata was the second lowest due to her confidence issues and mask, but she had recently improved, but the gap couldn't be bridged that quickly, and she remained at the bottom. Well, Naruto-kun, I wouldn't mind that. I mean if you don't mind, she said, fiddling with her hands. Stuttering, remember? And don't worry, I'd like to have you on my team. You've gotten a lot better, and I can only imagine how strong we could be if we combined some of my pure chakra reserves and your Juken, once I finish the transfer seal. Hinata smiled, gently rubbing the area he flicked. Both she and he laughed inwardly at the little show they were putting on for the others, both looking forward to the day they would be able to stop. Oh come on, get a room, you two, Kiba said. So troublesome. Shikamaru shook his head at Kiba's behavior. Anyway, where is Iruka anyway? The man in question limped into the room as he spoke. One of his legs was in a cast as a result of his stupidity in challenging Naruto to a taijutsu spar for the graduation exam. "Alright, everyone be quiet," he yelled angrily, his gaze fixed on Naruto. Iruka's killing intent was ignored by Naruto, who simply stared back. "Alright, now for the teams," Iruka began, skipping the first ones and just getting to the relevant ones. Team 7, Sutsuki Naruto, Uzumaki Namikaze Reina, and Hyuga Hinata, under Elite Jonin Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina. He was interrupted from continuing when Kiba let out a loud moan, and Hinata whooped happily. Everyone else saw Hinata fainting because she was embarrassed by what she had done. "You keep going, Iruka, I'll wake her up," Naruto said, omitting any honorific. Inside, he was enraged. The Hokage had put him on a team with his mother to try to get him back. That game can be played by two people. He tapped Hinata on the shoulder, directing a small amount of chakra into her body and directing it into the adrenal glands, releasing a small amount of adrenaline to wake her up. She sat up slowly, a flush covering her cheeks. While Naruto was assisting her, he heard Iruka say, "Wait here, your Jonin senseis will be here shortly," before disappearing in a shunshin. Naruto exhaled a sigh. Not to steal Shikamaru's thunder, but this would be extremely inconvenient. Especially since his mother was a censor and he couldn't use even a fraction of his power without being discovered. "Hey Hinata, after we finish this, do you want to go get some ramen?" Naruto asked. Sure Naruto-kun." The Hyuga heiress stuttered as she was hit with another light flash. Ow. Naruto's head jerked up to the door as he sensed Kushina approaching. Her chakra was strange now that he was looking for it. There were traces of demonic energy. That was understandable given her previous experience as the Kyuubi host. What was out of the ordinary was the amount of demonic energy. Her chakra made up roughly 75% of her total, with the remainder being yokai. "Interesting," he muttered as she walked through the door. "Team 7, follow me to the roof," she exclaimed. Naruto wrapped his hand around a pink Hinata as she vanished in a shunshin, and both vanished in a light shunshin, blinding others with the glare it produced. "Damn show off," Kiba grumbled as he rubbed his eyes. "I swear, I want to know why he's so powerful." "Akamaru, why won't you tell me?" "Kiba, if you could sense the amount of power he has, you'd be running as fast as you can, and he's not even showing his full strength," said Akamaru, who is as sensitive to nature as all animals are. "Troublesome," Kiba groaned, letting his head fall to the desk. At the Nara compound, everyone sneezed at the same time, then muttered, "Troublesome." They pondered this for a moment, then shrugged and went back to their naps, cloud watching, shogi games. Kushina was blinded by the glare as Naruto and Hinata appeared on the roof. What the hell was that? She thought to herself. Shunshin, was that a light release? That Kekai Genkai hasn't been seen in centuries. First, I need to speak with Minato. Well, looks like you're all here, she said as Reina emerged from the stairwell. So, to start off, we're going to be doing introductions. You know, what you like, dislike, your dreams, hopes for the future, stuff like that. I'll go first. My name is Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina, our Kushina sensei to you three, and I like ramen, my children, my husband, training. My name is Sutsuki Naruto, or at least that is the name I claimed from my heritage. I was out of the village for 4 years after getting fed up with being treated like a demon by most people. Now, I take it as a compliment, it just means I can be demonic with my fights. Also, the katana on my back is bound to me, and I only use it in its ultimate form if I'm totally dedicated to the death of. Wait. You've been able to make new seals and jutsu at your age? You have a blood-bound weapon? Kushina interrupted before Reina finished speaking. I have made a medical seal which can store living humans in stasis in order to get them to medics easier. It also works to repair the person slowly by using chakra in the air and applying it to the person's body, replicating destroyed cells, at the cost of making anyone stored in it lose some of their remaining cell divisions. Naruto nodded. I based it off of Senju Tsunade's art of meiotic regeneration. Kushina and Reina were both gaping openly now. Hinata had been present while he finished both the seal and the blade, and had even volunteered to test the blade's first function for him because it wouldn't hurt her. She simply smiled proudly. She understood why he couldn't tell his mother he'd made it. Art was supposed to be lost to time. Actually, he was in the process of creating a blade for her, and it was expected to be completed within a month. If Kushina's claims were true and this seal worked, it would cut battlefield fatalities in half. Most deaths were caused by blood loss from severe wounds. Once the enemy had ensured your death, they simply moved on. They could save all those lives this way. But there was one thing that worried her: the blood-bound weapon. They were extremely rare, and the process for creating them was completely lost. The only ones thought to still exist were the blades of the Seven Swordsmen and her own, Crimson Maelstrom. For him to find a new one. Plus the way he spoke of it having a released form. Could he have found a way to access the mythical, released state? If he figured out how to make them, or discovered more than one, he would have to tell them for everyone's safety. She'd go to him after the test. As much as I appreciate your need to ogle me, I find it somewhat disturbing coming from you too. Naruto cleared his throat. What? Kushina asked, returning to reality, then processing what he had said. No. My name is Hyuga Hinata, of the main branch, and I like Naruto-kun, training, helping him design seals and jutsu, and being with my friends. I dislike sexists like Kiba, perverts, people who are mean to Naruto-kun, and I especially hate the people who caused him to leave the village 4 years ago, she said, leveling an icy glare at Kushina and Reina. Kushina was stunned once more. First and foremost, the girl was familiar with Naruto's family. That look she gave her was proof of that. Second, she was aware of what had occurred during his absence, even though his own family was unaware. Third, she was madly in love with him, and finally, she was apparently able to combine elements to simulate Kekkei Genkai, which most people thought was impossible. I'll have to watch this one, she reasoned. Reina was thinking the same thing, but for a completely different reason. Perhaps if I become her friend, she'll tell me what happened to Oni-san. But I can't let her get too close to him because that would jeopardize father's plan. Alright. I'm Uzumaki Namikaze Reina, daughter of Kushina-sensei and the Hokage. I like ramen, my family and friends, and training. I dislike the kyuubi, any of the tailed beasts or demons, people who are false friends, and people who want to kiss up to me just because of my family. My dream is to finally have my brother back. At that, she could swear she felt the air. So, sensei, what now? Naruto asked Kushina, shaking his head. Now comes the real genin test, she explained, and we're off to training ground 44. Kushina took Reina's hand in hers and disappeared in a shunshin, leaving Naruto and Hinata behind. Geez Hinata, did you really have to say all that? I know it's true, but now they'll be after you, even if it's just to find out what happened. I'm sorry. Tayoukai-sama, she apologized, lowering her head slightly. I just hate them for putting you through that, even if it made you stronger. No, it's fine. Just please be more careful, and remember what I said about using that term while still in the village. Naruto smiled as he hugged her. Alright Naruto Koishi, Hinata blushed. That doesn't really work either, Naruto sighed. Please just call me Naruto-kun or Naruto-san. I know you want to express yourself, but calling me that makes it so much harder to remain unnoticed. Understood Naruto-kun, Hinata said, blushing again. Are you going to give them another chance like we planned? She asked. I have a bad feeling about it. I'm not sure. We'll play it by ear. Anyway, Hinata-hime, let's get going, Naruto said again. Hinata hugged him close, but she kissed him before he could shunshin. On the tongue. Naruto smiled as she came to a halt, her face flushed bright red as she instinctively reapplied her mask. As much as I'd like to stay and continue this with you, we have a team waiting for us. Perhaps later, nay. Hinata hugged him as he light shinned him to the forest of death's edge. He could hear Kushina and Reina arguing in the distance, his enhanced senses picking up on it easily, prompting him to stay put and listen in. What he heard ruined his chances of ever joining them again. Ever. But Mom, he belongs in our family. And why is he with that girl? We both know Dad's been planning that marriage for a long time. Reina exclaimed. Reina, that's enough. I know, I agree he should be back, and we'll see what Jiraiya comes up with for it, but we need his brain UN marked with a memory erasing and loyalty seal. His seals could save hundreds upon hundreds of lives. Reina, that's enough. I know, I agree he should be back, and we'll see what Jiraiya comes up with for it, but we need his brain UN. Hinata had no idea what was going on, only that Naruto could hear something that irritated him greatly. Then he erupted, grabbing her and shining forward to meet them. Hey, you want to know something? He said calmly, I'd rather die than give my seals to some people who consider mind raping me to erase their mistakes and killing my Heim. And if you think I'd ever agree to an arranged marriage, you're delusory. Kamui. He yelled, sucking him and Hinata into the black vortex in front of the red-headed pair's horrified eyes. Naruto visited the Hokage after dropping Hinata off in his Kamui realm with a promise to return, appearing in the street and storming into the tower, his chakra threatening to escape the seal the sage had placed on him due to his overwhelming rage. His mask was removed, and his blue illusionary eyes were filled with rage and darkness. You are a fucking manipulative bastard. He roared as he stormed past the cowering secretary and passed out Anbu guards, slamming open the door to the Hokage's office. I had been considering offering an olive branch and then I overhear shit about loyalty seals, mind-erasing seals. Minato's face paled dramatically. His son stood in front of him, a black aura rising from him, his chakra physically manifesting in his rage. We just, Naruto, we just. You just what? You weren't going to do it. Fuck you and your stupid plans. Naruto exclaimed, as far as I'm concerned, I just lost whatever family I had, and on the day I had been considering accepting their fucking apologies. Goodbye and good riddance to bad rubbish. He vanished into the wormhole, leaving a pasty Minato sitting at a desk, horrified at where he had been. Minato, I heard most of that. Please tell me it was a lie, or a misunderstanding. Jiraiya swooped in through the window. My son is gone. Again, Minato said slowly, wondering how Naruto had used a power of the Mangekyo Sharingan without one. And why? Jiraiya glared angrily, because you messed up, big time. I thought you were smart, not approaching him until he calmed down enough to accept you as his family, but no, you were plotting to erase his memories and start over. You would destroy the greatest prodigy this village has, just so he forgave you. What do you mean, prodigy? Minato inquired. I heard Naruto talking to Kushina on the roof of the academy. He designed a seal that would store humans alive in a state of stasis to get them to medics. It would even passively heal them. He and Hinata were two of the brightest ninja in the fucking village, maybe the world, and you just lost both of them because you wanted to manipulate them. Jiraiya roared angrily, not mentioning that. Minato's face flushed. We'll see about that. He snapped, get me the Anbu. Get them yourself. Jiraiya snorted. I quit, relinquish my title as Sannin, and quit being a ninja or a citizen of Konoha, and I'm going to be with my godson, to be the father you weren't. With that, he jumped out the window, shunshining out of the village before Minato could catch up with him. Naruto and Hinata were in the Kamui realm, with Hinata attempting to persuade him not to return and blow up the Hidden Leaf village. Tayoukai-sama, I want to destroy them too, but if you do, we'll have too much attention. I know you can win, but there's no point in destroying it now. It'd be more painful to do it later, join one of the other villages and destroy them in the Chunin exams or something. You're right, Hinata-heim. I don't want to do it now, I want to slowly destroy them, let them see where they're going, then make them suffer, while I fuck with my so-called family. Then I'll bring the hammer down, Naruto said, slowly calming down and opening his true eyes, removing the shapeshift he had used to mask his demonic features. Yes, Tayoukai-sama, Hinata nodded, but what are we going to do about it? Well, we want to show off our power, right? So let's do the world a favor and start eliminating the strongest enemies we might have to face, under other names of course. Hyuga Hinata and Tsutsuki Naruto have to die. The Akatsuki are unofficially on our side, and Kumo and Kirigakure are with us, but there's still plenty of enemies to go after. For now, though, I intend to recover my lost energy and... Hinata's white eyes closed, her form rippling before changing. Her horns were similar to his, but the color of her lavender hair was different. Her eyes were black with a white rinengan, and her hands had thin claws. One of 4 golden tails snaked out of her back. I'm at 4 tails right now, almost on my 5th, and I can't wait to get to 9. Good, good, just remember, even with your power, you can't be overconfident. You're a chakra construct like me and the Bijuu now, so you have to watch out. If people find out, you'll be sealed before you can say, Fuinjutsu. Also, once we leave this realm, your name will be Mrs. Kyuubi, understand? My name is Mr. Juubi, got it? Tayoukai-sama, I just thought of something. Since you don't want Konoha's nin coming after you, you could appear as the cloaked man you used to freak out Konoha. If they're going after that appearance, we can work on our power while they chase shadows, right? Hinata nodded. Yes, but I have an appearance already known with Mr. Juubi, as an assassin and mercenary, Heim. Naruto patted her on the back, but first I have to contact a friend of mine to get us somewhere to live, before I can start up my work. His body shifted, his clothes becoming nondescript civilian clothes, other than his katana on his back and his mask, a ceramic-covered steel mask with a reverse color. He opened another Kamui portal, this time to the Gado Corporation's headquarters, from which he fled into the shadows. He was the man in the background who ran the company through Gado. Mr. Juubi was one of the anonymous chairmen, but he was also the company's leader, an unnamed mysterious figure whose face was never seen. Gado had no idea who he was, only that he was very close to the leader, the face of whom he had never seen. He was Gado's top mercenary, assassin, and all-around killer, saboteur as Mr. Juubi. When it was too difficult to send missing nin, he did the dirty work. Ah, Mr. Ju. Gado exclaimed as he stepped out of midair, I was about to send you a message. In a moment, Mr. Gado. I don't believe you've met my lovely mate, Ms. Kyuubi? Naruto asked, Hinata smirking at the obvious codename. She and I were coming by to visit one of our many residences. Unfortunately, my latest venture failed, and I must lay low for a while she recovers. Ah, I was going to ask you for some assistance in the Land of Waves, but if you're otherwise engaged. Gado began. No. Ju, you can help him. It'll give me some time to train on my own, and hopefully, when you get back, I'll be able to surprise you, Hinata said, surprising Naruto right there. Ah, if you say so. He mused. Wonderful. Exclaimed Gato, let's talk in my office, shall we? As the two walked down the halls of the corporation, Naruto nodded. The place was massive, about the size of the Hokage Tower from the outside, but it had miles of tunnels underground used for various purposes. Gato's office was one of the most elaborate, with dozens of safeguards, barriers, and seals. If someone got past all of that, he could activate a seal on his desk, teleporting him to his safe house and flooding the room with gas while sealing the way out. He hadn't had to use it yet, but one can never be too cautious. So, Mr. Gato, what appears to be the issue? Naruto inquired. Well, Mr. Bijuu, I recently started a venture in the Land of Waves, taking control of its shipping and transportation in order to control it like the boss told me to do. There were a few rebels I had to put down, but now one of the major annoyances is building a bridge to shore, which would undo all the work I did there. I can't just claim he's a traitor, or everyone will rebel, and I would have nobody left to work. Ah, Mr. Gato, I understand. I can do that, but what about the bridge? Naruto inquired. I can bring my own resources in to finish it, and put a tax on materials on top of it, so the country doesn't bleed dry while still providing me with money. If you do help, I need the man taken out when he's nearly finished so we don't have to spend too much money finishing the bridge, Gato explained. What do you think I'm, a genin? I've got this one. Though it depends on the ninja he gets with him, if it seems too much of a hassle I might just have to kill him and get out. I don't want to fight Kiri or Kumo, though the other villages would be fine. That's fine, Gato said, nodding. So, do we have a deal? We have a deal, Naruto finally said. I'll send a messenger to the usual spot once I'm done, Naruto said over his shoulder, just wire my payment to my usual account. They shook hands, Naruto cloaking his disgust at the flabby hands and weak grip, and walked out. He then moved around the corridor, away from the small man with far too lofty ambitions. Naruto went to Wave after stopping by Hinata's house, a mansion they kept under Gato's supervision. Gato had given him instructions on where to find Zabuza and what to do once the job was finished. As expected, he was going to exterminate Zabuza and his allies in order to avoid having to pay them. Naruto, on the other hand, had a different plan. He was standing outside the treehouse-like structure Zabuza had temporarily called home one Kamui later. Oi! Zabuza! Get down here! He yelled up, I've got something to discuss with you. He had to stifle a laugh as Zabuza appeared at the edge of the house, his fierce eyes fixed on him. This guy is referred to as a demon? Really? He wouldn't even be considered a baby imp. What do you want, Gaki? Zabuza yelled back, aside from to die? Gato sent me, Naruto said from behind him, and I'm here to take command of this operation. Zabuza spun around, stunned by the power he sensed from the katana at his throat. That's a blood-bound blade. How do you have it? He asked, stunned by the power he sensed from it. None of your business, Naruto said, sheathing his blade as it returned to katana form. If you have a problem with working for a kid, I can kick your ass, or you can just accept it and we can move on. Hell yes, I do. Why the fuck would that short asshole put you in charge of someone like me? Zabuza raged. I've got more combat experience and skill in one hand than you do in your entire body. Listen up, you browless freak. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you think you're better or stronger than me. You will listen to me and obey my orders. Or, I can beat the shit out of you and send you to hell. I have more power in one hair than the entire population of Kiri. I am the Juubi, the king of the Bijuu and demon god. He took the key away, allowing Zabuza to speak. Why yes, Juubi-sama, he said, his eyes wide with awe at the power of this apparent brat who was actually a fucking god. Good. I would have hated to have to kill you. It's very rare that I find someone with a true warrior mentality, Naruto said, reaching out a hand to help Zabuza to his feet. And my orders are simple. Do nothing. I will take care of this, and you will get your money for doing nothing. Because I'm being nice, and I like you, I'll even let you live after this is done, so long as you never tell anyone who I am. Zabuza blinked at the topic's cheerful tone, Deal, he said, puzzled. What do we do while you're doing all this? I don't know, you can learn to fucking tap dance for all I care. Just stay out of my way and we'll be fine, Naruto stated flatly. Now, go tell your friends, and tell the guy behind me to point his senbon somewhere else or I'll gut him like a fish. Haku, who was hiding in a tree and getting ready to act, felt a poke on his back and turned to see a shadow clone holding a meat hook. Boo. Naruto vanished into the Kamui after delivering his message, his clone quickly dissipating. What do we do, Zabuza-sama? Haku inquired hesitantly. We do as he says, Zabuza replied, wiping his brow. Just being near him was hell in and of itself. I don't want to know what he's capable of if he's actually trying. Should I try to follow him? Haku asked. No. Yelled Zabuza, don't do anything, I'd rather live, and I don't want to irritate him. Understand? Sir, yes. Zabuza then turned and went inside to inform the Oni brothers of the change in plans, only to find them in a locked room clutching weapons and nearly pissed themselves in fear of the chakra they had sensed. 3 days have passed. Naruto watched through the Kamui as Tazuna and Konoha's worst possible team led him down the road. Fuck my life, he moaned, it had to be them. Reina and Kushina walked down the road on opposite sides of Tazuna, both alert and scanning for danger. He wasn't in danger of being detected because he was mostly in another dimension, but still. Apparently, the Hokage did not add more members to Team 7, instead turning it into an apprenticeship. In the long run, it wouldn't matter. Naruto solidified, leaving the Kamui realm to observe them in person, and was taken aback when they abruptly froze, Reina hurling a kunai at him. He vanished quickly, his illusion rippling as surprise caused a brief lapse in concentration. It was still intact, but the ripple had revealed the jutsu. Who are you and what do you want? Kushina inquired, and how did you appear there? Oh my, I didn't know either of you was that precise of a censor. Naruto mused, I'll have to add that. Anyway, my name is Mr. Juubi, and I was just looking into the ninja Tazuna hired to assess you. Tazuna stiffened at the name, Mr. Juubi, which was noticed by all 3 ninja. What is it, Tazuna-san? Kushina inquired, does the name have any significance to you? Yes, Mr. Juubi, he works for the Gado Corporation and is thought to be their head assassin and mercenary. He's said to be on par with a Kage or more and has never failed a job, Tazuna said, pale. Ah. I see you've been keeping up with the gossip, yes that is me. Nice to meet you, Uzumaki Namikaze Kushina, and your daughter, Uzumaki Namikaze Reina. I heard your son had returned to Konoha, any idea where he is? Naruto asked, mockingly. Both ninja stiffened, an enraged look on Reina's face. What do you know about my brother? She growled, tell me. Oh, not much. I saw him on a business trip a while ago, and he taught me some of his skills in exchange for the blade he's so proud of, the twin of mine, Naruto smiled. But I'm not going to use it. You're not good enough for that. He backflipped over a set of chakra chains his mother had sent sneaking around behind him, seeing them clearly with his illusion-covered Rinnegan as he said that. Tisk tisk, it's considered impolite to attack someone while they're trying to speak, he said as he stood on the tree's branch. Whatever, bastard. You're coming with us willingly or unwillingly. Reina yelled, closing her eyes briefly. As his mother's chakra chains returned to her, Naruto waited, knowing what she was up to. What is this? Reina inquired after a brief pause. I can't feel the kyuubi's chakra. Naruto laughed softly. What did you do to my daughter? Yelled Kushina as she drew her blood-bound sword, and how are you suppressing the kyuubi's chakra? Oh no, I'm not doing anything myself. The kyuubi is, it knows exactly how a fight between me and it would turn out. Anyway, I didn't come here to fight, I was merely warning you. Tizuna, if you want to live longer, take your family and leave Wave to rot. Otherwise, I can't guarantee your safety. As for you two, he said, turning to the two redheads, train harder. You can't even match me. He laughed as he vanished into a kamui. 2 weeks have passed. The bridge was nearly finished, only another week or so to go, and it was time for Mr. Juubi to strike. Tizuna had disregarded his warning and would now pay the price. Fools will be fools. Sighed Naruto, time to go. He activated the Meisakagore no Jutsu, the art of invisibility, and appeared as a faint shimmer on the bridge. He quickly clasped his hands together and summoned mist, simulating the Kirigakure no Jutsu with real mist before dispelling the invisibility. Tizuna, I warned you about continuing this bridge before, but you didn't listen, and now you pay the price, his voice rang out. The ground suddenly buckled around him as chakra chains reached up, circling him and, allegedly, cutting off his chakra. I don't think so. Kushina triumphantly exclaimed, hiding in the ground with an earth jutsu, now we're going to have a little talk, nicely or not. Sorry, I don't have time to talk right now. Maybe later, Naruto said, as the captured clone vanished amid screams. When the fog lifted, Kushina and Reina were confronted with a scene of devastation. All of the workers had been slaughtered, and Tizuna had been crucified to one of the supports with long nails, his chest cut open, allowing his guts to spill out, his intestines trailing in the water like a gory fishing line. By the way, your son says hello, was written in blood next to him. As Reina hurled over the side of the bridge, disgusted by the brutality and smell, Kushina screamed with rage, her chakra flaring violently. Come on Reina, we need to contact some Konoha teams. This Juubi guy is our only lead on Naruto, and I intend to track him down, she yelled angrily, whether he knows where Naruto is or not. With that, she blasted the bodies with Kaiden Jutsu and fled, Reina close behind, as she didn't have time to do anything else. Zabuza-sama said he had to go. He told me to tell you that he won't reveal anything about you, and would like you to potentially help him in the future, for money of course. Do you want me to take a message to him? The clone asked the child assassin. No, I'll have his money wired to the account Gato was given, Naruto said, and remind him that if he mentions me, I'll know. Goodbye now. Naruto wondered where the ice girl had learned a Konoha kinjutsu after the shadow clone vanished. Probably off some missing nin. Whatever, he said with a wave of his hand, Kamui. After 2 days. The boy was, of all places, at the supermarket, purchasing instant ramen. He appeared to be the standard, Juubi, illusion, with black long hair and sea green eyes, a slender body, and an angular face. He bought it and drove away after loading about 50 cups in his cart, only to have it destroyed by a blast of fire. His face twisted into a cold rage. Someone's going to die, he muttered, his eyes blazing under his illusion. Who did that? Shikamaru, who was on a nearby roof, observed through binoculars, didn't work, you just hit his ramen, and I think you pissed him off. After tracing him to the town of Tanzakugai, Kushina and Reina contacted Team Asuma, the Ino Shika Cho trio, to find and capture this Mr. Juubi, with Team Guy waiting as backup. Get out of there, sensei. Shikamaru yelled as he noticed Bijuu staring right where his sensei was hiding. "So you like fire?" Naruto exclaimed, nearly striking the younger Sarutobi with the black flames. "You killed my ramen. Die." He charged at Asuma, swinging a katana that changed mid-swing into a broadsword. Asuma tried to block with his trench knives, but it passed right through them and his hand. "Bye-bye arm," Naruto said, his voice sickly sweet. "Aarrrgh." Asuma's arm exploded in a burst of gore as his chakra network in that arm blew apart, severing it at the shoulder. Shikamaru yelled, attempting to capture Naruto in his shadow possession. "Guy, get in there now." "Asuma, retreat." A green blur slammed into Naruto, throwing him backwards into the store as Asuma jumped away, one hand clenched over his bloodied shoulder and missing arm. "Fucking Konoha bastards again." Naruto yelled, "Die. Art of demonic summoning, Hellgate. Come forth, Astaroth, Lord of Hellfire." The young god slammed his hands on the ground, releasing a massive gold and black gate into the air that was easily twice the size of Orochimaru's Rashomon. It resembled the Rashomon in appearance, but its designs were darker, and it crackled with black energy, the designs on it instilling fear in all who saw it. Then, with a shuddering rumble, it opened, revealing a far more terrifying sight, a figure easily 200 feet tall with a body of smoke and flame, and a head with spiraling horns, needle-sharp teeth, and blue Rinnegan visible in its face, the same as Naruto's. It wielded a whip made of molten lead that crackled with black lightning and a shield made of dark gray smoke that was as solid as rock. The very heavens trembled in fear of the being summoned, the archdevil at the right hand of the Juubi, Astaroth, pit lord of Hellfire and commander of Hell's armies. "Astaroth, attack these pests for my ramen!" yelled Naruto. Shikamaru yelled, abandoning any pretense of calm, "Oh shit, get out of there now." Asuma and Guy managed to avoid a few molten whip strokes, but Guy got too close to the demon and was hit in the face by its shield. It smashed through 3 stone structures and into a 4th, which collapsed on him. "I'm calling it off. This mission is a failure. We don't stand a chance against that thing." "Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, retreat," Asuma said as the demon began to smash things. "What about you, sensei?" Ino inquired from her vantage point next to Shikamaru. "I'm going to do my duty as a Konoha shinobi and guardian of the Land of Fire." Asuma yelled as Ino's medical jutsu sealed the bleeding on his arm. "Get Guy's team to retreat as well, whatever you have to do. Get back to the Hokage and tell him of this." "Understood, sensei," Shikamaru said softly as he turned to run. "Ino, Choji, you go straight to Konoha, no stopping. I'll get Guy's team. Go." The 3 fled, leaving Asuma alone with his knives, as Guy appeared beside him, bleeding in a few places, saying, "That creature is extremely unyouthful. Its strength, however, is nothing to laugh at." "Guy, I can't order you to do this, but as a friend, I ask you to please help me at full power," Asuma grumbled. 8 gates. Release. Gate of Death. Guy said slowly. 8 divine gates formation. A red aura engulfed him as all 8 gates opened at once, flooding him with chakra. "I'll slow him down, you deal the killing blow," Asuma grimaced. "Agreed, my youthful friend. If you survive, tell Lee to look under my futon." "I left my final instructions there," Guy said sadly, "and tell Kakashi I am sorry, but our youthful contests must come to an end." "Well, as much as I hate to interrupt this touching conversation," Naruto said as he approached them, "Diva Path, gravity immobilization." Even the 8 gates couldn't stop Naruto's gravity power, which forced both Asuma and Guy to the ground. "You have impressed me with your determination, though. Even though you destroyed my ramen," Naruto said, kneeling over Guy. "Demon art, soul manipulation, 8 gates sealing formation." His fingers blurred over Guy's body, hitting each gate in reverse order and forcing Yukai into them, reversing the flow of power. What are you doing? Guy cried out as the power of the 8 gates was forcibly reversed, resealing them without lowering his power level. I'm saving your life, Meta Guy. You have too much potential to die here. Live on, get stronger, and face me when you're ready, Naruto said. Guy had indeed impressed the young Juubi with his determination and willingness to die for his comrades. Granted, he was interested in seeing how the villagers would react to the new guy, but he liked the man. Naruto thought it would be amusing to see what he would do with his new power because he was funny. Guy was also one of the few Konoha shinobi who had shielded him before he left Konoha. He'd easily beaten up a dozen mobs, putting him on the "do not kill unless absolutely necessary" list. I have sealed your gates, but your power has already been released. It will gradually drain away, some merging with your chakra network, the rest leaving you. When it's done, you should be about 1.5 times as powerful as normal. You can reopen all 8 gates, but you will die. Also, I spare you to take a message to your Hokage. Tell him that if he leaves me alone, I will do the same for him and your village for now. His eyes spun under the illusion, putting Guy to sleep as he let go of gravity. Now, Sarutobi Asuma, I spare you, and I even give you your arm back. You I spare only because of Shikamaru. I was given a message for him, from the yellow-haired boy. Tell him to go to training ground 27 3 days from now, alone, to meet the one who gave me this message. If he wants to bring others, he can, it won't matter. He has an offer for him. Now, sleep, Naruto said as he placed his hand on Asuma's stump, slowly feeding nature energy in and regenerating the arm. Astaroth, you are dismissed. Thank you for your assistance, he said as he rose from the sleeping shinobi and warped them to the Hokage's office with his kamui. The demon lord grumbled. Yes, she pouted. But, Master, I wasn't allowed to kill anything. Next time, Astaroth, Naruto chuckled, but for now, I need you to go. Yes, Juubi Dono, until the next time. The demon in the door vanished in a massive cloud of smoke. Now it's time to go find Jiraiya and Tsunade. Naruto mumbled, disappearing into his kamui before any shinobi arrived. Minato was understandably taken aback when 2 battered shinobi appeared in his office through a wormhole. Both were unconscious and didn't wake up on the way to the hospital, Guy sucking his thumb and mumbling about something youthful, his red skin hissing when something touched it as if it were burning it. Both awoke at the same time 2 hours later. Hokage-sama. Minato asked what had happened after they had calmed down, and was told a story about demon lords and godly powers, as well as the man's unhealthy obsession with ramen. So, let me get this straight, he said slowly, after my wife and daughter contacted you and Guy, you left without permission, tracked a dangerous missing nin, set a trap for the man and failed, incinerating his ramen. He then used the Amaterasu, which are only usable with a Mangekyo Sharingan, then used an unknown summoning that he referred to as Astaroth, and effectively wiped the floor with you. Yes. We were completely beaten, he could have killed us and left the town a crater if he had wanted to. He also told me to tell Shikamaru that someone he called, the yellow-haired boy, wanted to meet him at training ground 27 in 3 days, to make a deal. I don't know who he means, though. Minato's eyes widened, and he yelled, Anbu. As 2 agents appeared beside him. Yes, Hokage-sama? They asked in unison. Contact Shikaku and Shikamaru of the Nara clan and tell them I need them in my office as soon as possible, and go. Minato yelled angrily. As the 2 vanished, Asuma and Guy asked Minato, Hokage-sama, what happened to the rest of our teams? I assume from the way Shikamaru is here that they arrived safely? Yes, they are alive. They arrived about an hour before you 2 woke up. Your team was actually carried by Guy's team, because they were faster and stronger physically. I had to use the Anbu to keep them from attempting to wake you up. They should be resting at their respective homes, though I have no doubt that we'll find them right outside the hospital, Minato said, rolling his eyes. Thank you very much, Hokage-sama, Guy said. Now, I need to talk to Shikamaru and his father, get some rest, and I hope you understand I will have to punish you for leaving without orders, though if everything goes well, the worst that will happen is a few weeks of no missions, Minato said, turning. Now get some rest, we'll need all active ninja if what I'm planning works. He then teleported to a Hiraishin tag in his office and left the hospital. Not 2 seconds after he flashed in, the Anbu he had sent for the Naris arrived, the two in tow. Ah, Shikamaru, Shikaku, before we begin, understand that what I'm about to tell you is an S-ranked secret punishable by immediate execution, Minato frowned. Alright then. Asuma had a message from Juubi. He said Naruto wanted to meet you, Shikamaru, in training ground 27 alone in 3 days. You two are here to help me formulate a plan to capture him. As much as I don't want to do it, I have to capture him and bring him back into our ranks, by any means. He's able to teleport, using a wormhole, and has speed above Guy's. As the three of them began to plan, they failed to notice a small warp in the air in the corner of the room vanish, indicating the departure of the Watcher. Naruto opened his kamui to a scene of devastation on Hinata's property. The house, a 2-story modest affair fit for a moderately wealthy merchant, was behind him, and the training ground was in front of him. It was once a 3-mile stretch of rocks and sparse vegetation with a stream running through it. It was now a crater-scarred plain of bare rock, with burn scars, impact marks, and corrupted areas visible everywhere caused by unrestrained yokai. Thankfully, the perimeter barrier remained intact. Holy shit! He yelled as a ball of magma phasing through his head flew towards him. Oh, Naruto-sama, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was you, Hinata said, emerging from behind a rock, 7 tails swaying behind her. I can see that, Naruto said dryly, looking around at the blasted landscape. Do you know what the word restraint means? Restraint? Why would I use that when training? She asked, her shyness gone. Point, he acknowledged, good thing I put in a time regression seal. He sighed as he and Hinata exited the barrier. Demonic barrier art. Rebirth of Gaia. He yelled as he flew through hand signs, several of which were demonic rather than ninjan, infusing equal amounts of yokai, nature energy, and chakra into the jutsu and focusing it on the barrier. The landscape flickered, then began to change, moving in reverse as rocks flew back together, trees flew back from their positions on the ground, and the stream reversed flow until the energy was spent, revealing a fully restored training ground. Anyway. Naruto mumbled, how in the hell do you have 7 tails now? You were only at 4. I used shadow clones to train, using 2,000 each day, and I mastered the basic elements in 2 weeks, then worked on the secondaries as the 6th tail started forming, and once I finished lava and ice releases, my 6th was grown, about 3 weeks ago, and then I started working on those seraphic jutsu you gave me to learn, and by the time I was done, my 7th had finished, Hinata explained, causing Naruto to smile widely. So you figured it out, he said proudly. Shadow clones transfer experience, as you obviously know, so using them to accelerate the growth of your tails works as well. She nodded cheerfully, her tails flapping behind her. He noticed something strange at that point. As a demon god, his tails were all black but changed colors based on any strong emotional surges, and since he had pumped his energy into her, he expected her tails to be either black, indicating a demonic alignment, or gold, denoting a seraphic alignment due to his being a god. Instead, she had 4 gold and 3 black, an unusual combination to say the least. I'll have to think about it. If she has both seraphic and demonic alignments, it might be worth giving her some divine-style jutsu. I wonder if she'll gain more than 9 tails. He reasoned. So, Heim, how's your fuinjutsu training going? Naruto inquired. It's going really well. I managed to create my first warp seal 2 days ago. Hinata exclaimed happily. I based it off of the Hiroshin, but instead of warping you to the seal, it creates an area of 1,000 feet in all directions, within which you can warp at will. It's really good because you don't need to teleport to one specific spot, you can move around within the area. Impressive, said Naruto. Anyway, I came here to see how you were doing and to ask a favor. What do you require? Hinata asked solemnly. I'm going to Konoha in a few days to try to meet with Shikamaru, because he's the only one I actually like among the leaf bastards, but I know they'll try to capture me. I need you to not interfere. I will be playing along with them, until I locate my target, the Uzumaki Death Reaper mask, the Shinigami mask. I wanted to tell you to stay here, no matter what. If I need your help. I don't like it. What if they try to seal you? They could use the Reaper Death Seal on you. Hinata frowned. That's the beauty of it, as the Lord of Demons and a god, the Shinigami can't touch me. If he does, it will result in him getting sealed in ME, Naruto grinned happily. Hi Tayoukai-sama. Hinata grumbled, looking away. I'll make you a bet. If you haven't unlocked your 9th tail by the time I get back, I'll train you myself to get it. If you have gotten it, I'll reward you, Naruto said, putting a finger under her chin and turning her head to meet his eyes. Hi, she said, flushed red. I need to go then, Haim. I have someone I need to pay, Naruto said as he turned away. He warped away in a kamui with that. Be safe. My love, Hinata said after a brief moment of silence. Naruto was at the training ground 3 days after his meeting with Hinata, employing the Mesakagure no Jutsu. He had no weapons or other incriminating items on him, nothing to tie him to his Juubi persona. As the sun rose, he stood still as a statue, arms crossed, demonic aspects hidden, and the Rinnegan shape temporarily shifted away. It was about a half hour before sunrise, and he was bored. As much as he wanted to find the mask, he needed it to be in a place where they couldn't lock it down. It was one of the Leaf Village's treasures, and if an enemy attacked, it would be sealed with time-space seals. As a result, the goal was twofold. Get into the village by any means necessary, steal the mask without them knowing and lock it up, and then flee, giving no quarter to anyone in his path. Naruto heard a rustle in most of the bushes and trees around the training ground about a half hour after sunrise, his sensory abilities locating each person regardless of how well they tried to hide. Shikamaru was the only one who wasn't hiding his signature, and he was in the middle of the ambush. Naruto dispelled his invisibility and walked straight into the ambush. His expression was amused. When he arrived at Shikamaru, the other folded his arms and said, "So you really came." I was the one who arranged the meeting through a friend, so of course I came, Naruto dismissed, and you can all come out, I know where you all are. For a split second, the surrounding foliage trembled, then a ring of shinobi encircled them, mostly Anbu, with Jiraiya, a seal on his forehead, Kushina, Minato, Asuma, and Reina. I came to talk, not to fight, Naruto said benignly, and it's in your best interests to hear me out. Talk then, Minato said, holding up his hand and signaling his forces to back up. I want the Uzumaki Reaper Death Mask, and I'm willing to trade a pair of Rinnegan for it, Naruto shrugged. His request and offer piqued everyone's interest. We don't have anything like that, Minato said, and how did you get a pair of Rinnegan? Why didn't you implant them? No need to play the fool, Minato. I can sense its unique death energy from here. As for how I have a pair of Rinnegan, let's just say I have a unique friend, Naruto smiled again. And what's stopping us from taking you and them right now? Shikamaru asked, his eyes narrowing. Oh, not much. Just that I don't have them with me right now, and if you attack me, you'll be declaring war on Kumogakure, a Megacure, and Kirigakure all at once, and I'm sure you want to face 8 Bijuu plus their armies, hum? Naruto smiled. Bull, Minato grumbled, they wouldn't sick the Bijuu on us for capturing one shinobi. Of course they would, Naruto grinned. I'm the one who got them the Bijuu anyway, even if Kumo didn't want to, the Bijuu would come alone. And just how did you do that? I call bull, Reina said, glaring at him. Oh little girl, you know nothing. You're a prisoner in a gilded cage, whereas I am outside of the shackles of this realm. You want to know why I am so confident? Why I command the respect of the Bijuu? Why Kurama will not attack me, no matter what? Naruto closed his eyes and laughed loudly. Everyone drew their weapons as he made the hand sign, Kai. He dispelled the genjutsu over his eyes and the shape shifts over his body with that. My name is Naruto Sutsuki, Yondaime Juubi, and 10-tailed demon god, lord of the Bijuu, and master of chakra, he said as he opened his blue and black Rinnegan. His 10 tails fanned out behind him, his horns growing in length alongside his glowing eyes. The ninja had mostly turned pasty white around him, fear the dominant emotion in their eyes. Jiraiya was croaking and gasping, trying to get something out past the shock, and Minato was staring at him as if he had discovered a gold mine. Reina was curled up on the ground, the seal shining through her clothes due to his proximity, and Kushina stood there, hand over her mouth, eyes welling up with tears. How? Finally exclaimed Jiraiya, how do you have the Rinnengan? How are you the Juubi? You don't need to know, Naruto said, shaking his head, but I'm surprised at you, Jiraiya. I thought you'd left the village. They put this on me, Jiraiya said, motioning to the seal. I can't go against them consciously, but unless I'm given an order, I have free will. I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'll make sure to remove it later, Naruto said, but now, will you make the trade with me or will we part ways? We can't let you leave now, Minato said, shaking his head. Luckily I had this set up for if Kyuubi ever got free. He lunged forward, hand glowing, hitting Naruto on the chest, Fuin. As Naruto looked at him, disgusted, you've just tried to kill your daughter. Reina's seal glowed even more. He then vanished into the seal. She stood there inside Reina's mindscape, staring at the gate and seal. The Kyuubi stood behind it, trembling and bowing in fear of the other creature. It had a humanoid appearance, with white hide and black hair. It had 10 horns that formed a crown around its head and black hair. It had Naruto's Rinnegan eyes and a pair of wings, one pitch black demonic-looking bone wing and one white angelic-looking wing. It had thick arms with long claws and legs with talons on the end. It stood about 7 feet tall, with 10 tails fanning out behind it and an aura of power radiating from it that dwarfed the Kyuubis. To compare it to the Kyuubi was like comparing a drop of water to an ocean. Disgusting, it said as it shrank down to Naruto's human form. To think your father would try to seal me in you, knowing you couldn't withstand my power. As the sewer-like mindscape began to crack, large ruptures formed on the walls and ceiling. He walked forward, past Kurama and outside the seal, approaching Reina. The seal began to crisp gradually, as if under a magnifying glass. Reina, I'm going to be blunt with you. You are dying. Your body can't contain my power, and thus you will break down and die, your soul consigned to the void. Already you are starting to see the effects of it, he gestured to the cracks, but I can save you. I have to ask you, will you trust me? I will save your life and soul, but you won't be fully human anymore. I will. Oni-san, Reina said, her blue eyes trembling with tears. This is going to hurt, Naruto said, his eyes widening. As he pumped chakra into her, his power flared, causing the sewer to burst apart and the liquid chakra on the ground to rise. It completely enveloped her, filling the mindscape to the brim before bursting it apart as it continued to flow. Welcome, Reina. Newest of the Bijuu, Naruto said before she fell asleep. It had been less than 5 minutes on the outside. Kushina was sobbing, Jiraiya was enraged, and Reina was on the ground, her hands clenched around her seal. Then something happened. Everyone turned to look at her as her body began to glow. Naruto took her place and stood up. Pathetic, Minato. You'd kill your own daughter, forcing her soul into oblivion in order to capture me. Fortunately, she was smart enough to listen to me. Minato growled and made a hand sign. Don't bother, Naruto said, turning to Kushina, I removed your little seal. He explained, your husband had put a failsafe seal on your daughter, one that functioned like the caged bird seal, causing her extreme pain and paralysis until he released it, and if he wished, he could also kill her with it, transferring the kyuubi to himself. Kushina's face reddened as she lunged at Minato, only to double up in pain as he activated her seal. Release the seal. Now, Naruto roared, moving forward, out of Reina's body, leaving her standing but passing out behind him. Not a chance, monster. Minato yelled, glaring at him, you will obey or I will kill your mate. I had the Anbu seal her as well, because she was so close to you. The temperature seemed to drop to just above freezing at that point. Minato Namikaze. You are scum of the highest order. A manipulative, child-abusing, power-hungry bastard, Naruto said to the others. Jiraiya and Shikamaru paid attention to his words, sensing the pure rage in them as his aura bubbled up around him. Now, Minato Namikaze, as Juubi and primordial god of destruction, I hereby strip you of your chakra, skills, and physical health, and grant you immortality. You will live forever to see everything you worked for crumble, in agony from illness and wounds. Before Minato could move, a bolt of energy flew from his chest and struck him. Minato screamed in agony as his life force was taken from him, along with his chakra, physical strength, and shinobi knowledge. When it was over, he appeared to be around 110 years old, with skin covered in sores and wounds and cataract-covered eyes staring in horror. And the rest of you? Tenpenchii. Naruto roared, nature obeying its master and turning on those who dared to oppose its lord. Earthquakes, tornadoes, and lightning seemed to indicate that the world was at war with itself. Nobody felt a tremor from the devastation outside of it. Naruto, Minato, Kushina, and Reina were shielded from the Anbu's destruction by an invisible bubble of air. When it faded, the training ground resembled a massive hole in the ground. Well, that felt nice. Naruto turned to face Kushina. Minato spoke, his voice quavering and old. Wait. What have you done? You've completely ruined everything. You're a beast. It's a demon. Naruto just stared at him, not responding. Kushina, however, acted behind him, stabbing him in the head with her blade, saying, that's for putting the seals on me. And that's for ruining our family, she said as she drew it out, stabbing his heart. He collapsed, gradually regenerating, his immortality not as painless as Naruto's. I know I don't deserve it, but will you please remove the seals? Kushina asked her son. I removed the seals from you right after he used them to hurt you, Naruto said as he turned to face her. Why did you anyway? Kushina asked, puzzled. I would have thought you'd abandon them to punish me. Naruto took a step forward, patting her on the back and comforting her, no. I read what that old jerk was thinking. The seal he had on you made you an unknowing slave to his will. You would agree with any idea he had and believe it was the best. I don't blame you. I blame him. Kushina had frozen, the unexpected physical contact something she hadn't expected from him. She burst into tears as he patted her back and whispered soothing words to her, SSH, SSH. It'll be fine. He can no longer harm you. Then Reina began to scream. Naruto and Kushina parted ways as a red aura engulfed her, bubbling from the seal on her chest, the kyuubi forced out of her by the process Naruto had used to save her. What's going on with her? Kushina inquired, turning to Naruto. When the old bastard tried to seal me in her, my power would have disintegrated her body, releasing me and killing her, he stated flatly. I forced Yukai into her to save both her and Kurama, transforming her into a chakra construct like myself and the Bijuu, like Hinata. She should have about 7 taels worth of chakra, possibly up to 9 if she's lucky, once she learns how to access it. Kushina was taken aback. But why is Kyuubi leaving her? She asked, puzzled. Kyuubi, like her, is an entity made entirely of chakra. Her chakra is pushing him out, and the seal is breaking due to the strain. After all, you can't seal a Bijuu in another Bijuu. Then she's a demon now? Kushina asked, wide-eyed. No, he said, shaking his head. That is something you must understand. Bijuu are not demons. I, a demon god, am the only one who is. The Bijuu are simply masses of chakra given intelligence and form by the Rakuto Sennin, which uses roughly a quarter of my own power. That is why I have control over them, because they are in fact extensions of myself. But enough of that. Look, he's almost completely out. As Naruto said this, Kurama's final tail emerged from the seal, and the Kyuubi was free to roam the world once more. Kushina tensed up, ready to fight, but Naruto held out his arm, blocking her. Don't. Kurama, welcome back to the mortal plane, he said as he approached him. Thank you, my lord. Kurama bowed. It's been a long time since I've been free in this plane. You're welcome, Naruto said, nodding. We need to talk to you now, without anyone attempting to attack you. Please take human form so that we can go somewhere else. Kurama pouted but shrank, his energy condensing into a 6 feet 4 inches man with pale skin and red slitted eyes, small horns like Naruto's, and long black hair. As he smiled, 9 red tails twisted behind him, revealing sharp teeth. Thank you very much, Kurama. Now, I believe it is best that we depart before others arrive. Reina was still unconscious, so Naruto motioned him closer. Kamui. They all vanished as ninja led by Shikamaru and Jiraiya appeared, his seal removed as a result of Naruto robbing Minato of his abilities. All they discovered was an elderly man struggling to stand with a slowly healing hole in his chest. Naruto and his family, as well as Kurama, appeared at Hinata's residence. In fact, they warped right in front of her, startling her and sending a wave of lava their way. Hinata-heim, please stop that, Naruto said with a blast of cold air. Sorry. Naruto Koishi, Hinata blushed. Kurama looked at her with interest, saying, You have 9 tails, referring to her gold and black tails. I do, Kurama Dono. It is a privilege. Hinata said this while bowing. Then she noticed the wide-eyed Kushina, called out Reina, and dashed towards them. Stop. Said Naruto as he blocked her attack. I brought them here to speak with you. Many new discoveries have been made. Please come inside, Hinata said as she nodded and backed away. Naruto made a round table and chairs for the group to sit at, holes in the back for those with tails, and a sofa to lay Reina on. Now, I don't want to bother retelling what has happened thus far, so I'll just give you the memories, Naruto said to Hinata, Kinjutsu, memory copy. As the meeting's memory was directly transferred to her mind, she staggered back, nearly knocking over her chair. That jerk. Anyway, I need to talk to all of you about what we're going to do now, Naruto shrugged. Kushina, you are not a Konoha ninja after you attacked the Hokage. Kurama is obviously not, and Reina, Hinata, and I are now wanted as weapons. That being said, I'd like to invite you to accompany me. I'll follow you, Juubi Dono, Kurama said, nodding. I assume you won't follow any order to call me just Naruto? Sighed Naruto. Correct, Kurama said, smiling. Anyway, Kushina, I sensed you have Yukai in addition to your normal chakra. Naruto rolled his eyes. How did you find out? She asked, her face flushed. I'm a god, Naruto said flatly to her. The demon's god. Do you really believe you can keep demonic energy hidden from me? Anyway, I wanted to make a special offer to you. I'll transform you into another Bijuu and teach you how to use the Yukai to its full potential. But in exchange, you must remain with us. Reina will have to stay with us for protection anyway, at least until she can fully control the new power she gains when she awakens. So that's what I'm saying. He took a deep breath and asked, will you join me again, as a family? Ka-san? Kushina froze, her eyes sparkling, before leaping at him. She wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck and hugged him, tears streaming down her cheeks. Yes. She exclaimed joyfully. Naruto froze at the unexpected contact, then tentatively extended his arms, slowly hugging her back. Hinata smiled at the tableau in front of her, having repeatedly asked Naruto to give his mother a small chance. She may have despised the woman, but she wanted Naruto to give her a second chance, a chance to live with a mother's love. He had lost faith in them the day he left, but was now willing to give them a second chance due to unforeseen circumstances, which she welcomed. Yuga, what hit me? Groaned Reina, chakras flaring as she regained consciousness. That would be my chakra, she said as she sat up on the couch. Naruto stated matter-of-factly. He slowly picked her up and carried her from the couch to outside, creating a bubble of energy in the process. It was also just in time. She screamed in agony as 8 red tails shot from her, wildly waving around, chakra bubbling from her body, completely engulfing her. Naruto held up his hand, and chakra tails were drawn to it like a beacon, futilely attempting to pierce him and his hand. Enough, Reina! He roared as the tails sagged. She fell to her knees, panting, as the chakra receded into her. I'm sorry. She exclaimed quickly. The power. I know, Naruto said, pausing her speech. Don't worry, I understand what happened and am not upset with you. That being said, I am temporarily sealing 7 of your tails. As they watched, a golden beam shot from Reina into Naruto, and Reina's new non-human features shrank, her wolf ears shrinking and her fangs becoming less prominent. Now, I don't want to bore you with the details of what happened, so here, he made a few signs, kinjutsu, memory copy. Reina flinched as the memories flooded in, then doubled over in tears, unable to stop the shock of discovering her father's true plan. Naruto let her cry for a while before gently picking her up and carrying her inside, where she was placed on the couch. Sleep, he said, using the Juubi's natural control over other Bijuu to put her to sleep. She'll be just fine. Naruto responded to Kushina and Kyuubi's concerned looks. All she needs to do now is rest and recover from the shock of being changed. Until then, I should probably refrain from explaining my past so that I don't have to repeat it. Now, I have a few plans for the future, but I'm not sure if everyone will agree. Do any of you have any attachments or plans for the elemental nations? What do you mean? Kushina asked, puzzled. What are your plans? I intend to leave this realm, Naruto said with a broad smile. I'd bring the Bijuu because they have to be on the same plane as me or they'll die, but I'll let you decide whether you want to come or not. Kushina was taken aback. Hinata nodded, having anticipated his plan, and Kurama simply smiled. The previous Juubi never told them he could dimension hop. Either the sage discovered it or Naruto discovered it, but either way it was a gigantic discovery. I'm not sure. No, I don't really have anything I need to do here, Kushina trailed off, searching for the words, but... Leaving behind everything? Going to a different world? Do you think that's a good idea? Hinata was the one who responded, good idea? No. However, the longer we, that is, the Bijuu and chakra constructs like us, stay on this planet, the more corrupt it becomes. Tayoukai-sama discovered that the immense power wielded by other Bijuu besides himself and those he creates personally is evil in nature, or, to put it another way, is based on the darker side of emotions. As a result, the Bijuu constantly cause those around them to become more corrupt, with emotions changing and warping. So we determined that the only way to undo it would be to either leave the world to those who can handle the stress and allow nature to gradually straighten it out without the source of the negative energy, or to forcibly renew the energy of the world, which would kill millions of people because chakra is technically unnatural to this world. Kushina's gaze darted between her and Naruto. What is it between the two of you? She inquired, her tone dark. At first, you talk about him as if he were a lover, which I can understand, but then you use terms like tayoukai, which makes it sound like a master-slave relationship. A wave of ki from both Naruto and Hinata cut her off. Watch your mouth. Even if you were my mother, if you insult my soulmate, I will destroy your very soul with my bare hands. Growled Naruto. We are lovers, but she is innately submissive, which is accentuated by the Juubi's dominance over tailed beasts. It's only natural for her to respond respectfully. Kushina quickly nodded. At first glance, she saw Naruto as her son, not the Juubi, and it was easy to forget that he could wipe her out on a metaphysical as well as physical level. Then he'd unleash that ungodly killing intent, which would frighten even the Shinigami. Reina's groaning as she rubbed her eyes cut into their conversation. Naruto sighed and walked over to her. How long were you awake? He asked, raising one eyebrow. He had overlooked the fact that her healing factor would be magnified almost to his level. She had recovered in about a minute and had presumably awoken at the same time. Most of it, she admitted, not bothering to deny hearing what they were saying. I want to go. Reina. What about your friends? Kushina inquired, surprised. What friends? Reina asked her mother, who was surprised to see bitter tears in her eyes. You and I both know that most of them were just sucking up to me in order to be in with the Hokage's daughter. Furthermore, they will regard me as a weapon even more than before. I'll take any chance I can get away from this stigma. Kushina closed her eyes and took a deep breath. I know. She said, her eyes still closed. I don't like the idea of leaving the nations, to be honest. I'm a little scared of what we might find, but I understand that it's the best move right now. Naruto turned to face Kurama, who simply shrugged and said, I will follow you, Juubi Dono. All the way to the ends of the earth or, as the case may be, beyond. Naruto smiled, a genuine smile, the first he had felt for anyone other than Hinata. The other Bijuu already knew what I had planned, and are marked with summoning seals, he said softly. The only question is, which universe should we visit? Obviously, the power of the inhabitant isn't a factor because I am a primordial, one of the powers that created the multiverse, but you can offer some suggestions. Cinnamon rolls. They have to have cinnamon buns, Hinata said, blushing even without her mask. Naruto gave her a deadpan look before throwing back his head and laughing. Alright, that's a start, he muttered, ramen too. They have to be on the same level of technology, or at a level where we can easily learn about it. Kushina expressed concern that they would be unable to comprehend the new world. I can just transfer memories from someone who understands technology, Naruto reassured. How about one who still uses swords? There's also a chakra-like energy. There are no other primordials, though it's likely they've already faded into oblivion. Oh, I see. Dragons. I've always wanted to see a living dragon that wasn't created using chakra. Plus demons. Yokai for the other Bijuu. A breathable environment. Enough conflict to keep our skills from becoming obsolete. finally, humans are one of, if not the, primary species. Done. He bit his finger before scribbling a list of what they wanted in midair, his blood dripping into the words. A plus or minus sign preceding the factor indicated whether it was required or not. As a final thought, he added, plus as close to the elemental nations in molecular composition as possible, to avoid a planet with a breathable atmosphere but no land, or humans who evolved to live on a lava-covered world. No, that would have been bad, not fatal but certainly painful. The blood shifted with a snap, the words merging and stringing out into a massive circle, easily large enough to allow Kurama's full 200-plus-yard-high demon form through, based size off the beginning parts of the novel, where the Konoha redwood-like trees barely come up to the tops of his paws. When mature, redwoods can grow to be 100 to 150 feet tall, sometimes more, so Kurama could easily be 1,000 feet tall or more, but I'm keeping him at 600 so he doesn't get into, so big I can squish a building with one step, territory. Naruto then flashed through a dozen hand seals, slapping his hands on the ground and using his power to cause the other Bijuu to appear in a flash of smoke and light outside their hosts. It's time to go, he stated emphatically. About time. Purred Nibi. I'd like to get some exercise for a change. Hinata's glare at Naruto caused her to flare all 9 tails, nonverbally saying, "Try to fuck with my man and I'll mutilate you, bitch." Nibi blanched and dashed through the arch, disappearing into the other world, followed by the other Bijuu and then Kurama. Naruto waited for Hinata and held her hands as he passed through, Reina and Kushina close behind. When Reina's tail passed through, the portal glowed with an eerie red light before twisting in on itself and disappearing. Jiraiya screamed, "No." Someone tapped him on the shoulder, and he turned to see a dozen women, each in scantily clad outfits, some with clearly demonic features, saying, "Naruto-sama sends his regards. He told us we could work out any urges on you as long as we didn't kill you, and gave us a gift for you," the one who had tapped him said. She then held out a vial of a blue watery substance, which Jiraiya examined before taking the note attached to the cap. "Greetings, Ero Sennin. You know, I kept my word. This is a special drug that I had Yamada no Orochi create after I returned him to hell. I believe you were familiar with him as Orochimaru? Anyway, it's a strong aphrodisiac and sex drug. Once you have it, you will be immune to the succubus soul-draining abilities and will even begin to de-age until you reach the age of 21 again, forever. I also sent Tsunade a different strain. So, last but not least, Tanishin." As he chugged the substance, Jiraiya's smile threatened to split his face. As he swallowed, the lead succubus watched, his eyes expectant. "So, then. I believe it is past time for me to obey our leader. Girls, itadakimasu." They all vanished in a hail of fire as one of the succubi teleported them all to Makai, specifically the part of it where the succubi and incubi lived. Jiraiya wasn't disappointed when he landed on a soft bed that could easily fit 10 people, and with his grin, that might not be enough room. That was the last anyone heard of the Toad Sage, though rumor has it that if you listen closely to a certain hole in the divider in a certain bathhouse, you can hear the screams of pleasure of a whole species of sex demons, and a maniacally laughing man, though sometimes someone yells something about having to reward Juubi-sama for such a great gift.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.